The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a brand new week of Running Points, courtesy of Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig. We got breaking news coming out of minor league baseball concerning our minor league baseball team in the Valley, which would be the Mahoning Valley Scrappers. And to talk a little bit about this, we bring in the Mahoning Valley Scrappers general manager, Jordan Taylor. Jordan, how are you today, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, it is a dawn of a new era in minor league baseball, with Major League Baseball taking over the minor leagues. And today it was announced the affiliation with the Cleveland Indians is no longer, but that does not mean that the Scrappers are not going to be playing baseball this summer. It's a brand new league that has been developed in cooperation with Major League Baseball, as well as the Prep Baseball Report. Jordan, talk a little bit about this MLB Draft League that the Mahoning Valley Scrappers are now a part of.
Yeah. So a lot going on with it. So it is very, very exciting day for baseball fans and the community as a whole. We will have a new affiliation with Major League Baseball. It is a five-year partnership, so a long-term partnership in the new MLB Draft League. So we are one of the founding partners of this league, and essentially what it does is collects all the best draft-eligible talent in that current year, whether they're junior college players, college juniors, or seniors, puts them on teams, gives them a chance to play in a hyper-competitive environment, allows all Major League scouts and teams to come in and watch these games and give them a better opportunity to see what a potential investment's going to look like. At that point, with the draft moving back now to mid-July, the draft will take place during the MLB All-Star weekend or All-Star break. Our players would then get selected. So in this instance, we could have a handful of Cleveland Indians draft picks. We could also have Pittsburgh Pirates. Any of the 30 Major League teams would be on our roster at that point. And then at some point, they will move on to their Major League club and start their career there.
Jordan, it's a 68 games regular season with the annual All-Star break centered around the MLB draft. Have they announced when this season is going to start?
We should have a schedule pretty soon here to announce. It looks like it's going to start right around the 1st of June, and then we're going to finish up around mid-August, is what we've been told. Quite honestly, it's a nice thing for our market. I'd much rather have the games in early June than the challenge of competing with high school football, college football, the fair, all that tends to happen at the back end of our schedule in previous years. So it actually gives us a nice opportunity from a business standpoint as well.
So far, Major League Baseball has announced that these 5 teams are going to be taking part in the brand new Major League Baseball Draft League. The Scrappers, the State College Spikes, the Trenton Thunder are going to make a drop from AA Eastern League to the MLB Draft. The West Virginia Black Bears and the Williamsport Crosscutters. League is in negotiations with a 6th team, hoping to announce that team in the coming weeks. Okay, let me throw this out because there's so much to unpack in this. Obviously, the league is looking to get the best of the best from college baseball, whether it be JUCO kids or draft-eligible juniors or seniors, obviously to make sure that they remain amateurs for the draft-eligible juniors, that let's say they don't get drafted, but they're playing in this league. How are they going to remain draft eligible? I guess the question would be, is there monetary things for these kids? And if there is, will this preclude them from playing another year in college sports?
I guess short answer is no, it would not. So the concept is most of these players going into this league are going to sign their pro contract after being drafted. Should they not, and that tends to be the rising juniors who would have a year of eligibility, that they could go back to college, they have to retain their amateur status and abide by, all of those regulations. And they'll sign their contract, then they're off and running, and wouldn't be tied into those different regulations that you have as an amateur player.
All right, now obviously the college baseball season for those that don't get to the super regionals, it would be over around June, and that's a perfect time for everyone to go to their team and to play. The kids that are going into the super regionals and ultimately into the College World Series, do you pick up kids as their teams get eliminated or as the college baseball season officially comes to a close?
Right. So we envision this, and Major League Baseball has kind of outlined it. It's going to look very similar to the Scrapper season, where you have a lot of player movement. We anticipate having similar movement to accommodate all of those things, namely the College World Series, which tends to be a little bit later. But for the bulk of the college teams, they'll be and ready to go that first part of June for us.
Back when you said there is a way for players to play and then still maintain their NCAA eligibility, that being said, is there going to be an avenue for maybe like a kid that, let's say they just graduated high school and they think they have a really good shot at getting drafted? Is there an avenue for them to come to this league, or is this only going to be for college juniors and seniors?
It is. So we're going to be kind of in the finishing stage, the highest level of this kind of organizational structure. So about maybe 6 weeks or so ago, the Appalachian League set up a league partnered with USA Baseball that is going to be for the younger prospects to play in a similar showcase league. And then there still is going to be the Cape Cod League is kind of the middle ground for that after their sophomore year that they'll play in that league. And then once they're eligible, we're only taking the college eligible players into our league. The high school will have something different that they can participate in to showcase their talent before the draft.
Jordan, could you see in the near future, because obviously minor league baseball, they always love to promote kids, and if you're really, really good here, well, we'll promote you up to here. It sounds like, if a high school kid tears up the Appalachian League, there could be a possible promotion, or if you were to do this, a promotion to, say, the Cape Cod League. And for those that are tearing up the Cape Cod League, maybe they get a promotion up to this brand new MLB draft league. Is there a long range kind of situation where that could be developing?
Yeah, that could be, I think, in the future. What we've been told right now, at least initially, is the players we're going to have are all going to be in our league, are going to be centered into this, and then their next move is to their major league to their major league team. So I'm not sure what the discussions are on the leagues below us and how that'll work, if there's any opportunities for movement. But fortunately, that's just kind of what I know at this point for us.
This is certainly a very intriguing idea by Major League Baseball. Now, obviously, the affiliation with the Indians, which was so incredibly important to the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, that's gone. But this idea intrigues me in that potentially you could be seeing perhaps more talent coming into this league than anything that we've had in the last 20 some odd years in the New York Penn League.
You're spot on. So it's one thing I will mention too. We do hope to have a partnership with the Indians as we move along in this. So that situation is still developing. So hopefully we'll have an announcement on that down the line. But in terms of the quality of play, we've been incredibly fortunate here to see great major league players come through over 22 years. Major League Baseball, what they've told us is that the numbers are going to grow even more. It's just now you're going to see potentially the next star of the Pittsburgh Pirates or the New York Yankees here, in addition to still having that possibility to see future Cleveland Indians as well.
Now, in the past, when you were affiliated with the Indians, you would just be adhered to players in their organization. Now that you just are taking players out of college, how are they going to divvy up those players to teams? Are you guys going to have your own draft, or are they just going to assign players to each team? How's that going to be handled?
Yeah, so some of that, the first year here, my understanding is it's going to be, through Major League Baseball and Prep Baseball report. There will be a preference on regional talent as well. So, if there's somebody who's a top end prospect, relatively locally, we would get that player. Even if you go to the Ohio States, Michigan, schools like that, we may get some of those kids as just sent into us. And then other teams that have, some regional affiliations, they'll have the same. I would think maybe down the line, once things get rolling here, you could see, just a draft as far as, being able to allocate players. But, for now, all that's going to be handled from Major League Baseball and Prep Baseball report.
Jordan, is this going to be the only draft league available in the entire country?
Yes, this is the first of its kind league and the only that'll have, this designation, and also, it has the backing of Major League Baseball.
So we are going to get the best of the best of the best in this league throughout the NCAA and JUCO schools.
Yes, and those players, generally tend to be a lot closer to, based on their age and numbers. What we feel is, you're going to see players.
Okay, Jordan, your phone is starting to break up a little bit. We are speaking with Scrappers General Manager Jordan Taylor on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. I don't know that Major League Baseball has meant to do this, but I think by doing this, I think Major League Baseball has just given an unbelievable plug to college baseball. Because I think that Major League Baseball fans and those that are curious about how this draft is going to take place, I think there's going to be a lot more eyes on college baseball now with this decision by Major League Baseball.
No, I think so. Are you able to hear me now, Ron?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yep. So, no, I agree. And there's also going to be a much bigger focus on the Major League draft as well. I mean, it's going to be, a showcase event on the Major League calendar, moving forward, with it being tied into the Major League All-Star game. So I think you're going to see a lot more synergy between all levels of baseball, and we're glad to be a part of that.
I think that Baseball America has always been the hub of minor league baseball and prep baseball news. I think that this league is going to bring out some national publicity, and honestly, I think that this might be an even better situation for the Scrappers than what they've had in the last 20 some odd years being affiliated, but being affiliated in a league that is a step below low A baseball, where it's half season, and obviously it's half season here. But given the fact that this is a brand new league, and now you have the best of the best in college and JUCO baseball coming to this league, where it is just centralizing on the prospects for the MLB draft, I think publicity-wise, from a national standpoint, this league is going to get far more publicity.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And just this morning, it was pretty cool. They did about a 20-minute segment on it on MLB Network this morning. So it was nice to see them do such a big piece in the rollout, and they're going to be very, very heavily invested and tied into the success of this league. And for us, it was just a great opportunity to remain affiliated in Major League Baseball and have a great partner in this new venture.
For months and months, there had to be so much anxiety and stress for you guys, not knowing what the future of the Scrappers were going to be. How excited are you guys just to finally know what the future holds and to be able to kind of have a game plan now?
Yeah, it's a huge relief. I mean, you're spot on as far as there was a ton of uncertainty. I mean, when that report came out, late last year, and those coming months, I mean, it was not certain that we were going to have a franchise here, moving forward. So a big part of that was how much, and we've heard this, as well from Major League Baseball, is how much the community rallied around having a team. So, I mean, we've had just unbelievable support, lots of calls to Major League Baseball. I mean, we'll, from, the political side of things, Congressman Tim Ryan, right from the start, was making a big push to retain the team here. Governor DeWine, same thing. Senator Brown, Portman, our mayors, commissioners. I mean, it just goes on and on. That they were constantly getting the message that this is an important part of our community and we need it to stay here. So we were glad, MLB listened to that and asked us to be part of this new league.
Jordan, as far as the front office and as far as the day-to-day operations are concerned, is there going to be any changes in terms of how you guys go about your business now that you're in a different league, which is more college-centric?
Yeah, I don't anticipate that. I think from a full-time front office staff-wise, it's going to look very, very similar. Can retain as many people as we had before that. We'll still have, the coaches on that level. I think the big change is going to be the amount of scouts that are at our games. We tended to have, a decent number, especially as it got to the Major League trading deadline. We've been told to anticipate it's going to be, multiples of that every single game. So, just making sure we can accommodate everybody on that end and, give them the best chance to evaluate players and have them make their best decisions.
I got to believe that you guys are going to be wall to wall with scouts from June the 1st all the way up to draft day, and even past draft day. I got to believe there's going to be wall to wall scouts because they're going to be wanting to pick off the leftovers that weren't drafted, if there are any of these kids that aren't drafted, to sign them to free agent deals. I mean, to me, I think this is going to be the place for the college, those that are involved in college baseball. I think you guys are going to be crawling with scouts on a game in, game out basis.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and it's going to be really cool. There's also going to be a lot of new technology put into the ballpark as well to help, for teams to share information. So, when a team doesn't have a particular advantage, when they're evaluating players. So that's going to be also a part of it, through Major League Baseball and Prep Baseball reporting there, helping to modernize and streamline, a lot of the analytics on the scouting side of things.
Jordan Taylor, General Manager of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, we thank you so very much for coming on. It is a great day. I think this is a great day in the history of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers. And while it's sad to see the Indians affiliation go, you guys are still trying to work on possibly making a deal. I think this is a very, very intriguing proposition by Major League Baseball, and certainly something that is going to put the Scrappers into a much brighter spotlight nationally.
Yep, no, and I agree. And again, if I can just say a great thank you to our community for helping. This is everybody's played a big part in making sure this that we have this for the long term.
And now the good news is you guys can now start selling billboard outfield signs and all kinds of other stuff because you finally have the green light to have a professional baseball team or soon-to-be professionals playing in this league.
Yep, yeah, we're ready to get going and having more of a normal off season. So it's something to look forward to.
Well, Jordan, congratulations. This is a very intriguing decision by Major League Baseball, and I think if it's run right, and that's the million-dollar question, if it's run right, man, has this got a lot of potential to it.
Yeah, I think so, and we're looking forward to it. We're happy with the teams that are in the league. All are great ownership groups in minor league baseball, and it's that partnership with MLB is obviously key.
Looking forward to having you on as we get closer to June 1st.
Yep, thank you so much.
You got it. Jordan Taylor, General Manager of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. And Anthony, I'm not a fan of Rob Manfred in any way, shape, or form, but this idea intrigues me.
Well, yeah, it's good because the way that it was going to alienate a lot of people out of baseball. And there are still a lot of minor league teams that are gone. We don't want to glide across that. I mean, there were 42 teams that were on the hook and only 5 teams in this league. So you do the math, there are still plenty of teams that are going without a franchise that used to have one. But for our community and for our fans and for the people that used to go to Scrapper games, to hear how important it was to them and to hear that was the reason that drove MLB to bring the Scrappers back as part of this MLB draft league. That just makes you proud to be a part of this community and a part of this area.
Let me read the press release brought out by Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball Prep Baseball Report and 5 founding members today announced the formation of the MLB Draft League, which will become the first league in the country focused on top prospects who are eligible to be drafted by MLB clubs that summer. With the 2021 MLB draft moved back to July and being held as part of the All-Star Week, draft-eligible players will have a unique opportunity to showcase their abilities and gain exposure to MLB clubs and fans next summer. The new format affirms MLB's commitment to the region and assures that communities of Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and New Jersey will continue to host high-caliber baseball and future major leaguers for years to come. The founding members of the MLB Draft League will be the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, the State College Spikes, the Trenton Thunder, the West Virginia Black Bears, and the Williamsport Crosscutters. The league is in advanced discussions with a 6th team and hopes to announce in the coming weeks. Plans include a 68-game regular season with an annual All-Star break centered around the MLB Draft. MLB Draft League participants will receive unprecedented visibility to MLB club scouts through both in-person observation and state-of-the-art scouting technology and educational programming designed to prepare them for careers as professional athletes. PBR, Prep Baseball Report, will provide support for the league's staffing, player and coach recruitment, on-field operations, and administrative functions. PBR will also use their media and technology platforms to promote the league and its players throughout the season. This is a very interesting idea by Major League Baseball, and I realize Major League Baseball did not mean to do this, but they have now cast a really nice publicity on college baseball, because now those that are interested in the draft are now going to really look at college baseball, especially those around these parts, because we're going to have an opportunity to get the elite of the elite on the Scrappers team in hopes that all of them get drafted.
The big knock was about whole Major League Baseball is there was no connection between the fans of the college game to the fans of the pros. Because if you watch a college team and you fall in love with a player or a couple of players on your team, you don't see them anywhere. Like, you can't see them anywhere until, they get into the MLB 5 years later or whatever. Now they go straight to a league, and you can follow that player that you've been rooting for on your team for years, and he goes straight to a league, and now you can root for him for whatever team he's playing on in a part of this MLB draft league.
Yeah, he's going to go from playing college baseball if he's good enough. And
he doesn't have to be drafted to get there. Like, he's going right there if he's good enough to even have a chance to be drafted.
Yeah, and this is not going to be, hey, I want to take part in this. This is invitation only, courtesy of Major League Baseball and the PBR, the Prep Baseball Report. They are going to invite the best of the best to this league. 30 kids on a roster, 6 teams, well, 5 right now. It'll be 6. You're looking at 180 kids. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out most, if not all of them, should be drafted because Major League Baseball draft is going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 20 to 30 rounds, 180 kids, 30 teams per baseball, per Major League. That's only 6 rounds worth of talent.
And to my knowledge, this league is going to start before the MLB draft, so you're still going to get the superstars that are going to be your first-round draft picks are still probably going to come and play in this league.
Oh, they're definitely going to be playing in this league.
Yeah, before they go and get drafted. So even the kids that are going to probably maybe go, straight to, whatever it may be, straight to AAA if they're really, really good.
Well,
does anyone go straight to AAA?
Very few.
Straight to AA.
Yeah, it's more like A ball and then scoot to AA.
The top notch of your first round draft picks are going to be playing in this league. So I think it's going to be a step up.
And I think that the other thing that Jordan brought out was the Appalachian League is now going to be the league for the high school kids.
Graduates, yeah.
And the Cape Cod League is now going to be the league for freshmen and sophomores in college. And again, this is invitation only, where you're the best of the best. You go to the Cape Cod League and do your thing. And if you're still the best of the best, when you become eligible, draft eligible, you would then go to this brand new MLB Draft League. I love the fact there's only one league, and I love the fact the Scrappers are only one of 6 teams because
I'm sure
we're guaranteed, Anthony, we're guaranteed to have the best of the best college eligible draft players. I love this concept.
And as it keeps rolling, I mean, Jordan said it, there's a possibility to have a draft themselves, and I'm sure as a GM, the ability to handpick players excites the crap out of him because now he's not forced to just have the players that no knock to the Indians, but he had no control over what players he got, what players he didn't.
Yeah.
So I think he might be really excited to have the ability to handpick some players out of college.
This is an interesting proposition, to say the least. All right, let's get to the phone lines. 330-886-0813. Rich, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What up, brother?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you both?
Good.
Great. Are you bracing for tomorrow's extravaganza?
Well, it's going to be tonight and then all day tomorrow. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I always get a kick out of people that are like, "Oh my God, it's going to snow." We're used to this stuff. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
This is December on the north coast of America. Come on, folks.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, I've lived through a lot more than 2 to 6 inches of snow. I mean, we have lived through snow in feet before. So,
well, then I'm sure you remember the winter of '78 and the winter of '93. I think I was out on Halloween in my Frankenstein costume, passing out candy to all the kids. It started snowing on Halloween, and we didn't see the ground until April the next year.
I remember, and I think it was either February or March of '93 when we had that ginormous blizzard that wound up putting about 2.5 feet of snow on the ground. And it started on a Saturday afternoon, and it stopped snowing late Sunday night, and there were 30 inches of snow on the ground. And I remember I was in Salem doing a community theater production. We were practicing, and they canceled practice like an hour early and said, hey guys, you're going to have really bad trouble trying to go home because it's snowing like crazy out there. I'm like, all right, so what? We're talking about a 15-minute drive instead of a 5-minute drive? No, 45 minutes later, and I'm still trying to pluck my way through the area, and I wound up ditching my car halfway up the driveway because I couldn't take it any further. So it was nuts.
You would think driving from Salem to Latonia would be an eye wink, you know?
Yeah, no, it was anything but easy that particular day. That was nuts.
Anyway, I'm going to unveil the photo of my new snow throwing equipment to you later. No, it's not a shovel. So don't laugh, but you're going to love this.
Is this a Rich invention?
No. Actually, it's Monica's father's contraption, which he didn't build, but he acquired somewhere. This thing is awesome.
All right, I look forward to seeing it.
It's gonna be
yeah. I mean, it's just too cool.
Nice.
Anyway, on NFL from. Oh, by the way, how did the boys' high school guys teams do in Western Pennsylvania?
Good question.
The football? You're talking about the football state team?
Oh, yeah, they lost. Yeah, well, the Greyhounds, they got beat in the state championship game. That team that they played is ridiculous. They're a very, very good program. Not to say that the Greyhounds aren't Wilmington Greyhounds, but they were run over by just an unbelievable football team.
Well, my hat's off to them anyway.
Oh, listen, I mean, you get to the state championship game, you're doing something right.
We've said that many a times. I mean, to get there is such a hard task, especially this year. To get there this year, you had to fight not just your normal circumstances, but you had to fight a pandemic and the uncertainty of whether or not you'd have the next game and all the stuff that comes with it. So to get there this year to a state championship, I mean, it's above and beyond.
No doubt.
That this pandemic is having its toll on all sports, whether it be professional, whatever. On that note, the Browns had a pretty good showing yesterday.
It was sloppy, but they got the job done, and that's all that matters. I posted something on social media. It's Browns fans and Bills fans that are sour. They're cut from the same cloth. I mean, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, your team is 8-3. Shut the hell up and enjoy the ride.
I call it Charmin cloth. They have no idea.
Yeah, it's. I just don't understand that mentality, especially from Browns fans. Do you realize that the Cleveland Browns are going to have their first non-losing season since 2004?
Was that under Mangini? Who was that under?
I believe Butch.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was Butch Davis.
Okay. You put a statement out there about Baker not being able to set his feet on downfield passes.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. And he really needs to pick up there. I don't know if our quarterbacks coach is doing his job or if Baker's just still in a growing mode. But I got to tell you something. He missed a couple wide open passes.
There was a kid that was. I mean, nobody was around him within 10 yards in the end zone, and Baker overthrew him. And look, I mean, the best way that Mayfield is most effective, they have to roll him out. Now with Baker, you got to make sure that the feeder's set and he's ready to let it loose. But it's pretty clear to me now that Baker Mayfield dropping straight back, not a very effective quarterback. If they're going to throw the ball, they need to roll him out. They need to get him to have his footwork all good. I'm going to tell you what, Rich, and we'll get into this. This is a team that if they get into the playoffs, they're going to be a tough out from the perspective of they have something that no other football team has. And that's a two-headed monster named Chubb and Hunt that will literally wear down defenses late in the game. Now, the problem with the Browns is twofold. Number one, they have a quarterback that's not quite there yet. And number two, and this is probably their damning elimination, is the fact their defense is still utter garbage.
Well, yeah, you know what? And on that note, that Anthony said that COVID's taken its toll, plus injuries in our key positions.
Sure.
And it is what it is, because we're not the only team suffering that. The entire league is suffering.
Yeah, and it's just going to be interesting to see how they do this moving forward, and if they're going to put teams in a bubble. Are they going to play the games in one location? Are they playing these games the way that they normally run the playoffs? We're hearing whispers that the first round will be played in the higher seed, and then the final four teams will be in one bubble. And the AFC would go in a certain town, the NFC would go in a certain town, and everyone would be bubbled until we get to the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl would still be played in Tampa.
Okay. Last night and today was the first week that I've noticed no Zendejo bashers. He actually came to play yesterday.
Well, the 2-point conversion where he knocked the ball away, I mean, that was huge. Now, having said that, Jacksonville, Doug Marrone made a stupid decision by going for two and taking points off the board and then going for two. That was just that smacked of ignorance. But then again, that's ignorance and Doug Marrone are kind of the same thing. So it's I can say that as being that he was a former Bills coach and he was terrible up there. So, yeah. Hey, brother, we got to get scatting. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Be safe tomorrow.
All right, see you. Yeah, that's. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. That'll be fun. Can't wait to get the snow boots on and head down here. And 14 will always be taken care of because it's a state route. So I know that 14 is going to be taken care of. It's the road coming down to East Palestine that's going to be interesting. We'll see how the village takes care of the roads when we wake up tomorrow. This should be fun.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. Fun is not the word I would use to describe what we're about to get hit by. Disgusting, terrible, frigid. Those are some words I would use.
I mean, it's just
depressing.
Snow. Yeah, I mean, it is depressing. I'll give you that. It is depressing. That's for sure. Let's get back to this MLB draft league that was just announced today. Like I said, I love the idea that they have just promoted college baseball. And from a local standpoint, all right, Youngstown State, mid-major, they're not in the Power 5 conference. But let's be honest, I mean, Youngstown State has started to slowly but surely develop into an interesting program. How many of our kids could very well get that phone call? Could there be anyone from the Horizon League getting that phone call to invite those kids into this league? I think it's very intriguing.
I think it'll come down to, there's only 6 teams, and how big are these rosters? And, you got to think, 6 teams, maybe
30-man roster.
Maybe a 30-man roster.
So you're looking at 180 kids.
And then you look at...
I mean, you're looking at about 6 rounds worth.
The Power 5 conference is going to be a big chunk of that.
Oh, of course.
But you're going to get the kids that come out of the non-Power 5 but powerhouse baseball schools.
Sure.
Like your Coastal Carolina. I'm trying to think of another one off the top of my head.
Well, I just think that it's just going to depend on the player,
right,
and how regarded that player is. I mean, look, we did the math. There's 30 teams in Major League Baseball. All right, 180 kids that are going to be in this league, assuming that we have 6 teams. They're in deep negotiations with a 6th team. I'm going to assume that they get those negotiations wrapped up and we have a 6th team. All right, so 30-man roster, 6 teams, 180 kids. 30 teams in Major League Baseball, 180 draft-eligible kids. You're looking at 6 rounds of a draft. There's a really good chance every single one of these kids gets drafted, being that it's only going to be a 20, 25-round draft. By the way, speaking of the draft, I love the idea that the Major League Baseball draft is now incorporated into the All-Star Week for Major League Baseball. I think that's a great move as well. And I can't believe I'm equating great with Major League Baseball
Wait a
right
minute,
now.
what's...
I mean, hang on a second. My feet aren't cold. Hell hasn't frozen over yet. I don't know. Maybe Major League Baseball has actually come up with something pretty interesting.
Well, we'll have to see going forward how many more good decisions, because they have a lot of big decisions to be made going forward in the next, year or so with the collective bargaining agreement coming up and all that stuff. But hopefully it's not just a blind squirrel finding a nut once in a while. Hopefully they have someone in that room that has finally said, guys, this is what we're gonna do. It's gonna be great.
Okay, so let me ask for you fans of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers. Hit us up on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, 330-886-0813. Simple question. The affiliation with the Indians as far as players that are property of the Cleveland Indians, that is now gone. And replacing it is 30 kids via a draft, and all of these kids are going to be draft eligible, and all of these kids are pretty much going to be drafted at some point. We anticipate that happening, although, you also have high school kids that are eligible for the draft. Pretty good chance all of these kids get drafted. Are you good with the MLB Draft League? Are you good with this concept? Because on the surface, I think that the Scrappers are in even better shape now than what they have been in the last 20-some-odd years. And I understand, this is the league that CC Sabathia got his start. Shane Bieber, the reigning American League Cy Young Award winner, got his start. Hell, Jose Ramirez got his start so did Lindor.
But all those guys are still going to get their start in this league because they have to go to this league before they get drafted.
Exactly.
So they're still going to get their starts in these leagues. It's just not going to be focused on MLB players. So you could have like an Aaron Judge type player get their start in the Scrappers.
Exactly.
You could have anyone from any team name the superstar. You could have Mike Trout-ish player get their start in MLB. I don't think we're ever going to see a Mike Trout ever again. But you can get that type of caliber superstar. You could say, hey, he started the Mahoning Valley Scrappers.
Here's the thing that I think from a collector standpoint, from a memorabilia standpoint, this is going to be unbelievable. Because think about this for a second. Obviously, minor league baseball loves doing jersey giveaways. Can you imagine a jersey giveaway on this particular evening? You got 30 kids, and they're all draft eligible, and you've pretty much have the concept that all of these kids are going to get drafted in some way, shape, or form. I mean, okay, obviously you will have what we would think would be, there's going to be a couple of first-round draft picks in this thing. Can you imagine a jersey giveaway with that concept? How many of these kids are going to be? How many fans are going to be wanting these kids as jerseys?
Right.
I mean, it's just the concept is just phenomenal. I really love this idea.
For the people that like the homegrown, I want this team to be local. I want it to. The people that really latch on to that idea. Jordan Taylor said it. They're still going to probably be fed the kids from the regional schools. So if there's an Ohio State kid in this draft, he's probably going to be fed right to Mahoning Valley. If there's a Youngstown State kid, he's probably going to be fed right to the Scrappers. So the Scrappers are still going to have this homegrown kind of local feel, but they're also going to incorporate the rest of the entire nation with it.
Yeah, because the Southeastern Conference and the Pac-12, those are the two premier conferences of the Power Five. No disrespect to the ACC.
In baseball, you got to respect the ACC.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
North Carolina.
Okay, well, we'll even throw the ACC in there because here's the thing. West Virginia, Ohio, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. This is the draft league. Those are the 4 states.
Right.
That's not Southeastern Conference country. That's not ACC country. That's not Pac-12 country.
Boston, but even that Boston College, they don't have a great baseball team.
Yeah, and you can argue that's not Big 12 country, although West Virginia, you're one of the teams. But, some of these kids from the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-12, they're going to be coming into the Midwest or the lower Midwest into this draft league. And I think that like I said from the top, this has now put an even bigger spotlight on college baseball. And I think that, I don't think they realize that they're trying to help college baseball, but they just did. I think that now fans of baseball are going to look now a whole lot more, at least from this area, at college baseball, because Scrappers fans are going to be like, oh, we're going to watch LSU play. Look at this kid. This kid might be a member of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, or Georgia Tech. When Danny Hall has their kids rolled out, oh my God, this kid might very well be playing in the league that we're going to be supporting June 1st through August, whenever. I mean, this is a great day and a great soon-to-be era of baseball. I love this decision. On the surface, and again, it has to be run right, and that's where the rubber meets the road for Major League Baseball. But if it's run right, oh my God, this is a very great possibility.
Yeah, it's exciting, and you said it, if it's run right. I mean, that's a big question. I mean, who's going to be the head of the league? Who's going to be running the league? Do they have their head on their shoulders? Do they make good decisions? I hope so. I
hope so. Fingers crossed. Yeah. I hope so. Lots of things to get to. We're going to take a time out. Dana Balish coming up at 1 o'clock. We'll hear from Dana. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. If you're a Scrappers fan, what do you think of this announcement today by the Mahoning Valley Scrappers in conjunction with Major League Baseball and the Prep Baseball Report? The Scrappers are now in the Major League Baseball Draft League, a 5, now soon to be 6-team league housing the best of the best of the best college-eligible and junior college-eligible draft players. This should be a fun league. All right, we'll take a time. I'll be back with more. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at efforts
boy is recovering from a broken.
Around our valley.
Community in Niles. We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect.
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
More local news.
In Mercer County Court.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day. Whether you're working from home, enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart, count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig. This week, again, with the inclement weather coming into the area tonight and into tomorrow, who knows how this is going to affect high school basketball, if it does. Obviously, there are teams that are unable to play because of COVID, because of a ruling by an entire county. If you live in Trumbull County, you're not playing basketball.
You're not even practicing.
Yeah, essentially until January. You're not even practicing.
But I think Lake County did something which I think Trumbull County might look at, that they're going to let teams practice starting I think December 22nd or something. Just something to get them in the gym before games resume on January 4th. Because you're asking these girls girls and guys really, to just stop playing basketball, stop doing wrestling, stop working out for a whole month, and then get right back into it in January 4th. I think that's something that Trumbull can look at, where hey, let's let them at least get back to their own home gyms in the middle of December or whatever it may be, whatever big a date, and get that started. That way you can kind of gear up before you start games again back on January 4th.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Anthony. And we have the calendar out. Obviously, tomorrow is going to be the first day of the month. For those that are shut down through January the 4th with no practices, I think it would be wise to open up the gym Christmas week, which would be the 21st. All right, obviously, Thursday and Friday you're off because it's Christmas Eve, right, and then Friday's Christmas Day. But if you were to practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and then again Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday of New Year's week, now you've got 2 weeks worth of practice. And when kids go back to school on January the 4th, and this whole thing is hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully we have a much clearer situation. And if we can start basketball season for those schools in Trumbull County, then you have 2 weeks of practice. I think Lake County has hit the nail on the head in this, because if you're not even allowing the kids to practice, you can't open up the season on January the 4th. You simply have to have a couple of weeks, at least 1 week of practice. Otherwise, not only are you going to be dealing with sloppy basketball or whatever sport, you're also going to be having injuries out the wazoo. It just doesn't make any sense to not have practices going on. Now, for schools that are unfortunately in the middle of a COVID outbreak, that's a completely separate thing. I mean, Crestview's boys were supposed to start, like everyone else, on Friday and Saturday. Well, that got thrown out the window because they're in somebody tested positive. Same thing with Leetonia. Somebody tested positive. Got to shut the program down for a couple of weeks. So it's unfortunately like football. It's going to be a very tough touch-and-go situation.
I think it's going to be the same thing. I mean, football, everyone got in anyway, so if you couldn't get all 6 games in, then it's fine. You're going to still be in the tournament, and you can kind of work from there. I mean, basketball is the same way. Everyone gets in. So it's looking a lot like it's just going to be, if you can play, play. If you can't, then just try to gear up for whenever you can play and get as many games as you can get in.
Now, let me ask you, are we going to have the same situation where, let's say, a team gets bounced in the first round of the tournament and there's X amount of games? Let's say the OHSAA decides, okay, 12 games, 14 games max, and then everyone's going to go into a tournament. is it possible where we do the same thing as in football, where if two teams are eliminated in the playoffs, hey, let's play a regular season game and let's just get at least 18 to 20 games in?
That would be interesting to see if they do that, if they let teams keep playing after they get eliminated from the tournament. But I think the difference is football, you only played 6 weeks of the season. So you still had, like, it was week 10 and teams were still playing because it was week 10 of a normal schedule. If you start tournament time in February, like normal tournament time, then you're still on the same basketball schedule. So if a team gets bounced in the tournament, that's when their season would normally end. So that's when they would start to transition into spring sports.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would line up the same way that football did, per se.
You bring up a really good point, and then the spring sports are going to cry foul because, wait a second, we're trying to get our baseball and track and field and now, softball programs together here.
If you pushed everything back a couple weeks and said spring sports can start a couple weeks later and end a couple weeks later, then you might be able to do that because then teams could finish their basketball season.
Sure.
And then have plenty of time to gear up for spring. The last thing you want to do is alienate the spring sports for a second year in a row.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think that's the last thing that teams want to do.
Yeah, and then here's the other thing, and we'll bring this up because we're waist deep in B League, but it's a great league, and we have a great relationship with the Youngstown B League, but they get thrown out in the cold if the season gets extended 2 more weeks, because this is a league that predicates on people once their school season is over. Now you can go into the B League.
Last year, didn't Class B start a lot later than it normally would in a normal schedule?
Sure.
So couldn't you do the same thing that Class B did last year in the scheduling thing? If you have to push high school season back a couple weeks, wouldn't it be the same kind of?
Yeah, but in a perfect world, I don't think they want that.
We're not having a perfect world. Perfect world shot.
Yeah, that went out the window. Yeah, their perfect world is no longer in play. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting at how long are lingering ramifications of this virus, because I think we're not going to be normal in terms of 10-game regular season in football, 22 regular season basketball games, 22 regular season baseball games. I don't think we are going to be normal, quote unquote, till 2022.
Yeah, and I know everyone wants to play right now with basketball, but if you're playing right now and then you have to shut down later because something happens later, I think coaches are going to be, would we rather be shut down now than shut down in late January when we're gearing up for the tournaments?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can play the whole season without a shutdown, awesome, great. But the way things are going, the way teams are canceling left and right, it's going to be hard to play anyone to play a full schedule.
And if if the 3-county or the Mahoning Valley area were to sit back and arbitrarily say, look, we're shutting everything down until January the 4th, I like the idea of you're in the gym Monday, December the 21st for a 2-week period leading up to January the 4th, and then you've got 6 weeks for the girls before the tournament starts, 7 weeks for the guys before the tournament starts. Let's pick X number of games you're allowed to play, even if it is just league games, and you play your league, 8-team league, your 14 games. Even if it's that, let's go.
And that's viable too. It would just suck for the teams that are able to play right now. They can go.
Absolutely.
They have no issues. South Range and West Branch played each other on Friday. They would sing for both those teams because they're doing the protocols. Nothing's going wrong, and they're just going to say, you have to shut down anyway because of the state we're in, and that would suck for them.
Yeah, it would. It absolutely would.
So no one's going to be happy no matter what you do. You can't please everybody in this kind of sense. But there was some good basketball over the weekend, so I'm kind of glad that we're playing in some sense of the word.
Yeah, as we have said so often, fairness went out the window with this virus.
If you're going to play, if you're going to have a season, you have to accept that word fair is going to be stretched a little bit. We said that in football. We're going to say that in basketball. Fair doesn't mean the same thing it did in a normal schedule, because if you want to go ahead, then you have to understand that the whole fairness factor, it's not the same as it used to be.
Not the same. We're going to take a timeout on the other end. We'll hear from 21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Our segment with Dana coming up next. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
With Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Points, courtesy of Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you, alongside Anthony Hartwig, decked out in his Chiefs attire. Kansas City, a big win over Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay now looking pedestrian. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, 21 Sports Director Dana Balish. Dana, how are you today, sir?
Doing well, Ron, yourself?
Doing well. Okay, so last weekend we had no hiccups involving the OHSAA state playoffs. They got everything taken care of. As we are now embarking into the winter sports, Dana, have you heard anything from the OHSAA in terms of a shortened season or what they would like to do statewide, if anything?
No, Ron, I think the state has kind of taken the stance of, we're going to leave it up to the local districts to decide if they're going to play or not. This is a little different from football because everyone gets into the postseason. So I think, the state kind of, wipe their hands away from this, saying it's up to each district to decide whether they're going to play basketball or whatever winter sports they're going to do, and then go from there. So, Trumbull County is shut down for another couple of weeks or 3 weeks or so. So I would anticipate, we'll revisit that in the latter half of the month. And maybe they could start and play in January. But Ron, I think if you get 5 or 6 games in, the state's going to do everything in their power to hold the tournament, and we'll go from there.
Anthony and I were talking a little bit about Trumbull County's decision that they would close the gymnasiums until January the 4th, and Lake County, which is a little bit to the north of Trumbull County, has come up with the idea of, okay, we're not going to let our kids play until January the 4th. However, we're going to open up the gym, let them practice for a couple of weeks so that at least they're sharp and there's not going to be any the injury factor will be much lower. Is that a wise idea that Trumbull County may take a page from the Lake County playbook and say, you know what, we're still not going to allow you to play until January the 4th, but go into the gym, have the 2 weeks worth of practice so you're ready to play on January the 4th instead of having to practice a week or so and then cutting even further into the regular season.
Well, I think, Ron, this order goes until December 22nd. So I think at that point, Trumbull County will take a look and see where they are and then make another decision based on where they are that week. This is when players have to work out kind of on their own. And I know in basketball it's a little tough to do because there's not many places where you can go. But, coaches, I've talked to several coaches. They're hoping their kids are working out on their own. Things are going to be rusty. I don't care if you have 2 weeks or 2 hours to practice. Things are going to be rusty when and if it does resume. Again, the most important time is February. So if things start in January, you're going to have 4 to 5 weeks to play as many games. And Ron, I've talked to coaches who say, look, we're going to play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We may play 4 games in 5 days. And that's the best case scenario for these teams because, playing is a lot better than practicing, and I think that's the situation most schools are in. They're going to try to schedule as many games as possible to try to get ready for tournament time, and, let's keep our fingers crossed. But this is a day-by-day process, and I know everyone's kind of circling December 22nd. My philosophy is, hey, you can't look at you got to look at tomorrow because if these numbers go up, they may pull the plug earlier than that, or they may say, let's start practicing before that. So this is a day-by-day process for me.
Now we know where Trumbull County stands. What about Mahoning County? I'm sure they've had meetings in the last week to decide what they kind of want to do going forward. Have you heard anything from Mahoning County about plans that they have for a possible shutdown?
And again, you have to remember, this came from the Trumbull County Board of Health, okay? And it had the blessings of the superintendents, all 16, 17 superintendents in Trumbull County. I have not heard Mahoning County's Department of Health, but again, this could change on a dime. With these numbers, and we're not going to get these numbers for Thanksgiving, probably for another week or two. In just conversationally talking to people, I mean, this virus is everywhere. It's affecting everybody. Would it shock me if Mahoning County, did what Trumbull County did? No. Would it shock me if any county did that? No. But to my knowledge, right at this point, and again, I'm not privy to a lot of information, but I have heard nothing of that nature.
Well, and obviously there's another county to be heard from, and that's Columbiana County. And if Mahoning County were to shut down, then one would assume Columbiana County has no alternative but to shut down because it's not like you're going to be having those teams in Columbiana County playing each other for 3 or 4 weeks at a time.
No, and I'll go back to what I said earlier. This is a day-by-day process, and with the weather coming, it may not be the virus that shuts down basketball for a couple of days. It could be the weather.
Very true. We're supposed to get a pretty decent snowstorm, I think, tonight into tomorrow morning. That being said, we did have basketball over the weekend. I don't know if you got to kind of look in on any teams or get any reports from any teams on how that all went and how basketball is going after. Now we've had a week of basketball. Some teams have been playing for a week. What kind of things have you seen on the basketball court that have impressed you so far?
Well, I think first of all, just being able to play is impressive, if not. I mean, I know West Branch has played a game or a couple of games. I know Salem has played a couple of games. I'm not too sure many other schools have really played. I know some games were scheduled and were bumped because of various reasons. This is usually the first full week that, basketball kind of gets going. I know some girls' games tonight are already, have been canceled, and any school playing any school in Trumbull County, obviously that game is canceled. So, athletic directors, and I've talked to a couple of them over the weekend, I mean, they say, look, we get a schedule together, and it changes again. So it's very, very difficult. I have not seen any games in person. And you feel bad for some of these teams. You feel bad for some of these coaches, especially with some pretty good teams coming back. And, McDonald girls comes to mind where they have everybody back, and I think we touched on that last week where, excuse me, I mean, they're not playing. You just hope. Look, I think most coaches would be satisfied to play 10 games and go to the tournament just to play some sort of season.
21 Sports Director Dana Ballas joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. And it's not just the high school. Obviously, Youngstown State University, and so much attention and preseason hype. I mean, Dick Vitale, of all people, is starting to hype Youngstown State's men's basketball program. And yet here's a program that, as of right now, and again, things could change, very fluid situation, but as of now, there are no home games set for Youngstown State. They're going to go right into Horizon League play, both the men and the women, later next month.
Well, and again, Ron, the Horizon League has not treated Youngstown State well in opening the conference season. If you go back and look over the past 7 or 8 years, they've always opened the season on the road or have played, 4 or 5 on the road. And in my opinion, that's a slap in the face. I don't think Youngstown State, the men's basketball team, gets enough respect in the Horizon League by Horizon League officials. That's just my opinion. You go back and look, they've always opened the season on the road, and certainly that doesn't change for 2021. But again, it's a day-by-day process. When can you start practicing? If you start practicing and something happens, you got to shut it back down. So this is going to be and again, it's a fluid situation. It's a day-by-day process. It's certainly something that you got to look at day by day, and I think that's what most coaches are doing right now, because you could practice whenever and the season could be shut down 3 hours later. So and you're right. I mean, it's well-deserved attention. They have plenty of coming back. There's reason for excitement, and unfortunately, at this time, we won't be able to see that as of now.
21 Sports Director Dana Ballas joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Dana, news broke this morning of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers ending their relationship and their affiliation with the Cleveland Indians. And while that is certainly something that the area is going to miss, it's not like the Scrappers are not going to have baseball. A newfound MLB Draft League, where the best of the best of the best junior college and draft-eligible collegiate stars will go to this league, which is, as of now, encompassing 5 teams, and there's a 99% chance there will be a 6th team involved. Season starts June the 1st. It ends sometime in early August, with the MLB Draft taking place on All-Star Game weekend, or All-Star Week, I should say, with Major League Baseball. The draft will be as part of the MLB All-Star Week. This has the potential, and I love using the word potential because we don't know if this is going to work, but it has the potential to be a really, really good league if it's run properly.
Well, and again, it's a 5-year commitment, and I think that's the key. The Indians affiliation, it was always renewed every 2 years, so there's a 5-year commitment with this. If I'm this new league, Ron, what I do is I put the best prospects in this league to start. That way you sell the league. Fans will go out and see these people. But if you put players in there who are no names, I don't know how popular the league's going to be. So if I'm this league and I'm these 5 franchises and 6 franchises, I talk to the league and say, hey, look, for this to work and for us to draw people, we need to have some big name people come here right out of the get-go. And I think if that happens, then it has a great chance of succeeding. But I think if you bring in some guys that no one's familiar with, I mean, your diehard, hardcore baseball fans will go out there. But I'm not sure the fans of the families and so on and so forth will go out there, on a consistent basis if you don't have those big time names there. Look, the Scrappers brought in Lindor for a week. Sabathia here in '99 was here for I think 3 starts. I mean, that was good enough. It drew interest, and it drew fans. And again, it was an Indians affiliate. Now, you're going to have prospects from, the Pirates, the Cubs, whoever come in here. And again, how are fans going to relate to that? I think one of the big questions is fans related to the Scrappers because of the Indians affiliation. Now that you're a Major League Baseball affiliation, does that help you or does that hurt you? And I don't know the answer to that, but I think a lot of people went to Eastwood Field because of the Indians affiliation. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how this works. It's a 5-year commitment, which is very, very good. But if I'm these 5 founding franchises, I'm going to say, hey, give us your top-notch players. We don't care if it's for 3 weeks, 2 weeks. We just need players here to draw people there.
And one of the, it's a valid point that a lot of fans went because of the connection to the Indians, and they want that kind of be able to relate. But what Jordan said, which I think is going to save a lot of those people, is that the regional players that get into the league will be fed into the team. So if someone from Ohio State gets in, they'll be fed into the Scrappers, YSU or whatever. But any team in this kind of regional area will likely get fed into the Scrappers. So that might be something for the local, people that want to see local tie-ins might be able to satisfy their thirst for that among the not being affiliated with the Indians anymore.
Well, and again, I just think, the Scrappers always sold it on, we're an Indians affiliate, see the guys of the future. Now you sell it, we're a Major League Baseball league where stars of the future for various teams are going to be here. The entertainment value, I think, will still stay the same. The Scrappers aren't going to change much of that. Is it going to work? I think it has a great chance of working, but I just don't know how much the Indians affiliate or non-Indians affiliate will how much, I think that's the question that will soon be answered, in 2021, hopefully, if there's a season.
Well, one of the things that I think that Major League Baseball has just did, although not something that they were planning on doing because it's a separate entity, but given the fact that these kids are all going to be playing major college or they're the best of all of college baseball, I think now there's going to be a whole lot more focus on college baseball from our region as well as the other 4 and 5 teams that are going to be housing these top-notch college and JUCO draft-eligible players. Now all of a sudden everyone's going to be looking at more of college baseball, which might be a win-win.
Well, and again, I think, Ron, that's a valid point. I think the jury's just out now. I think, we just don't know how fans are going to respond. Again, that Indians affiliate in this part, in Youngstown is huge. And now when you say we're a Major League affiliates, where now you're encompassing every Major League team, I just don't know. I don't know, because people around here are Indians fans, so they want to see those prospects. If you have someone here from the Cubs, is that going to draw interest? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's going to happen, and no one knows until we see what happens. So, you just have to wait and see. It's one of those things that's a wait and see thing.
Dana, one of the things that I think was very impressive when talking to Jordan is he said a lot of the reasons that the Scrappers were one of the teams that were picked to come back is just the abundance of support and phone calls that MLB got from not just the political side of things with the congressmen and the mayors and the governors, but also just the people that thrived on having the Scrappers in this area. What do you think that says about our community and how much the Scrappers meant to it?
Well, I think it's huge. First of all, they put a lot of money into Eastwood Field. They had a new field. They just put in an addition to the clubhouse. So I think that was all taken into consideration. I think of where we are, where we're situated geographically. You're 6 hours from New York. You're 6 hours from Chicago. You're an hour from Pittsburgh. You're an hour from Cleveland. I think that played into it. I think the politicians did what they had to do. That's what politicians do. But I think it's the community support. They've supported it. They've gone out. The promotions is very good. So I think it was a win-win. But again, my only question would be, again, how do fans react to it being a non-Indians affiliate?
Be the $1 million question that'll be answered somewhere in early June. Dana, always a pleasure. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You got it. 21 Sports Director Dana Balash checking in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. I want to stress this point that Dana made with the fact that the Scrappers for the last 20 some odd years, since 1998, 1999, was an Indians affiliate. Okay, obviously that was a huge reason why the Mahoning Valley Scrappers were a success, because it was an affiliation of the Cleveland Indians. Number one. Number two, could they have been an affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates? Obviously, they could have been. The Pittsburgh Pirate organization could have sat back and said, okay, we're going to select Mahoning Valley to be our low A or high A baseball team.
We're actually
that didn't
closer
happen.
to Pittsburgh than we are to Cleveland, so it would make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, well, it didn't happen. Even though it has not been announced, I can say with 100% certainty that the four affiliates for the Pirates organization, Indianapolis will be the AAA team, Altoona will be the AA team, Greensboro, North Carolina will be the high A team, and Bradenton out of the Florida State League, which is going to move to low A baseball, that's going to be their low A team. Those are the four teams that the Pirates will have as their affiliates. Was there talk of Youngstown replacing Greensboro? No idea. But I like the idea that the Scrappers are now going to be, within Major League Baseball, one of 5 teams that are going to be housing undrafted, high-profile collegiate and junior college baseball players, where these kids haven't been drafted yet. They're just the best of the best in college baseball and JUCO baseball. And these kids, they might be future Indians or Pirates, but they also might be drafted by one of the 28 other Major League Baseball teams. None of these kids are going to be drafted yet. When the season starts in June 1st, and that's their target date, none of these kids are going to be drafted yet. They are going to be playing for about a month and change, hoping to improve their draft stock, which that's the intriguing part of this. None of these kids are going to have a pathway to being the number 1 draft pick overall. Now, if they play really well and dominate this draft league, now they've improved their draft process. This is kind of, if you were to go to the National Football League and say, instead of a draft combine, let's have a 5-team league.
XFL?
Yeah, well, let's have... there you go.
That's what it should have been, by the way. That's what the XFL should have been.
Let's have a league where the draft-eligible juniors and seniors, top-notch. Now, we're not talking about the 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks. We're talking about the top-notch players are all going to be playing on 5 or 6 teams.
The difference is you don't need that bridge between end of college football and NFL. Like, you usually, when you get out of college football, you're ready to go strap up in the NFL. You don't need that, transition period to see how impress your draft. We're comparing apples to oranges with football and baseball, but for people that are, that's a really good idea. Well, there's a reason that doesn't happen, because you don't need that. You don't need a minor league football team.
Well, not to mention
your
the fact
minor league football team is the NCAA.
The NCAA, and the NCAA has eyes, millions of eyes that are watching it.
It would be great for not the high draft picks, but like the kids that maybe want to go from a 6th round pick to a 4th round pick, or the kids that want to go from not getting drafted to the 6th round. Those type of athletes that get into a type of league where they can kind of show their stuff before the draft, that's what would really be good when you're talking about football.
Yeah, but now
Now, it wouldn't be a great football league because you wouldn't get top of the top.
Yeah.
But it would still be, I think, a better football than trying to just get the dropouts of the NFL and just put together a league and say we're going to compete with the NFL with less talent. No, let's partner with the NFL with less talent and get these kids that you might see in your teams in the future into a league.
The reason why they're not doing that is because everybody watches the NCAA. That's just the fact of the matter. The NCAA in football has millions of people watching their product. So they frankly don't need a league that bridges the gap between the NCAA and the NFL draft. College baseball has nobody watching that sport. In comparison to football, baseball gets a drop in the bucket, literally a drop in the bucket in terms of fan interest. So this is where this league has to be put into play for these kids to get some much-needed publicity leading up to the MLB draft. And that's where, if this is done right, and that is a big if, because Major League Baseball has been known to screw stuff up, but if they are able to do this right, this has the potential of being brilliant.
Mutually beneficial to not just MLB, but also, like you said, to college baseball, which ratings-wise...
It's in the tank.
I mean, look, I love softball, but softball beats college baseball. That's why ESPN puts a lot of money into their softball coverage.
Yeah.
Because the Women's College World Series, ratings-wise, knocks the College World Series out of the park.
Absolutely.
Which, that's the only women's sport that does that to its men's counterpart. It's not a knock to softball. I'm not saying that softball doesn't deserve to be there, but, you know, you got to look at that and go, huh.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing, and this is down the road. This is down the road, but I've been a proponent of this forever and a day. If you are going to have baseball on the collegiate level that is going to be somewhat close to professional baseball, then you must have the same equipment, i.e. the aluminum bat needs to be gone from college baseball. It simply needs to be gone. That might be one of the reasons why people are looking at college baseball and saying, it's an extension of high school ball. They play with an aluminum bat. It's completely different from playing with a wooden bat. I get war stories from scouts where you would rather draft someone out of high school because now you can get the aluminum bat out of the kids' hands and let them do their thing 3 years younger, 4 years younger. Down the road, if this works, I could see where Major League Baseball has a relationship with NCAA baseball and say, look, if this is going to completely work, now you guys got to do your part. Get rid of those aluminum bats and start swinging wooden bats.
And then you have to wonder how much that would affect the NCAA's game, because how much it would affect the teams that maybe have one or two guys on their roster that can legitimately play in the MLB to swing a wooden bat, but the rest are just like, you know, they're good college baseball players, but they're not going to go further than that. How much would that affect those kind of players? And then how much would that affect that team's ability to compete in college baseball?
Well, and the other thing, how much would it affect their marketing? Because let's be honest, aluminum bats don't break. You get a pitch inside, you shatter that bat. That's one piece
money
of lumber.
For the college, by the way.
Yeah.
Collegers are paying. The MLB is not going to say, "Hey, we'll supply you with bats."
Yeah, they're not going to. They're not do that. They're not even supplying the upgraded millions of dollars that minor league stadiums are looking at. They're looking at the minor league teams now, which historically that wasn't the case. Major League Baseball always took care of the capital improvements that were needed for minor league baseball. Today, Major League Baseball is saying, screw that. You people are responsible for this.
And that is the biggest reason the NCAA uses aluminum bats, because why would they go pay for wooden bats? They're not getting ratings. It's a low-revenue sport. There's no reason to put money into that program if you're a college to do wooden bats, you know, because they're going to break. You're going to need a lot more of them than you do the aluminum bats that you might have one broken in a season. You know, if someone has an old one, I mean, they can still break. They can still the compost bats can still.
Yeah.
They can break.
You just have to do something.
I mean, I've seen a softball bat break in half. It just doesn't have nearly as often as it does for a wooden bat.
Yeah, there's a lot longer life in an aluminum bat than there is in a wooden bat. But down the road, if this works, and again, it's a 5-year contract, if this works to where all eyes are on college baseball, looking at the elite of the elite, and then bringing those people into this draft league where the Jonathan Mayos of the world, who, by the way, is a friend of the show, and we'll hopefully have him on at some point, and some of the other draft experts of minor league baseball or Major League Baseball draft, this is a great avenue. And if you can get MLB Network to get on board with this and start playing their games during the course of the week, oh man, now Mahoning Valley has just gone from a Indians affiliate that really doesn't get a whole lot of coverage nationally to a Major League Baseball Draft League affiliate, which, if the cards are played right, could be getting at least 1 or 2 games a week on MLB Network. This is a no-brainer.
It is. It's absolute, and that's another thing. This might be an avenue where MLB Network can start showing college baseball games. Because why wouldn't they? Because now you're feeding players right into an MLB affiliated league. So there's no reason why the MLB Network shouldn't be calling up some college baseball leagues. Maybe the ones that aren't, because ESPN will be like, we own the SEC.
Yeah.
We own the ACC.
Well, this is...
Don't you be touched. But maybe they can go into like the Big Ten, who isn't owned by ESPN.
Yeah.
And owned by Fox, which is much more friendly to the MLB. Because a lot of those MLB teams are, Fox affiliated. Maybe they can get into the Big Ten or the Pac-12, which is really good with baseball, and show some of those games once or twice a week.
So this is, to me, down the road, if this works in the 5-year plan, if this works and it works in the way I'm envisioning, now my Major League Baseball may have a hand in college baseball and say, okay, we're going to have a relationship much like the NFL has with the NCAA, and let's see how this percolates. I think that not only is this a great day for Major League Baseball, again, if this is run properly, and Rob Manfred I can't trust by throwing him. I trust him as much as I can throw him, which isn't very much because I'm not that big anymore. Not that I ever was. But if this works, not only is this a great day for Major League Baseball, this is a great day for college baseball.
Right.
And it could be a great day for college freshmen and sophomores who have a home in the Cape Cod League now, instead of draft-eligible juniors and seniors going to the Cape Cod League and doing their stuff prior to getting drafted. And it could be a great day for elite high school athletes who are draft-eligible, who could play in the Appalachian League, which was a former short-season minor league baseball affiliation. Again, if all of this works the way it's being envisioned by the suits in New York, this could be a great day for baseball. It just could be. So, well, we'll talk about it and take some phone calls. My Bill shirt has been worn. The San Francisco 49ers are not allowed to play home games for the next several weeks.
They're not allowed to practice in their home facility.
Santa Clara County has put the kibosh on anything. So, Anthony, guess where the 49ers and Bills are going to be played?
Let's see. The Coliseum?
Nope. Let me give you a little bit of a hint. Let me drop you a hint. Hail Mary.
Oh, jeez. Hail Mary. So
the Bills were Hail Married.
They're playing in Arizona?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're playing at Cardinal Stadium.
You should have said Hail Murray. I would have gotten like this.
There you go. Hail Murray. Yeah. They're playing next Monday night in Arizona at Cardinal Stadium. And next Monday night, I swear to God and everything is holy, if there's another Hail Mary.
You guys gave up another one to Herbert. It wasn't a Hail Mary like in the sense that it was a game winner.
Yeah.
But he just chucked a deep prayer and the guy came down with it. That's 2 in a row. I mean, the defense needs to work out these kinks.
They need to go to confession is what they need to go to. Yes, the Bills will be playing the Niners next Monday night in Arizona at Cardinal Stadium, and the Hail Mary stops. Over. No more. Finito. Hopefully the Bills win and go to 9-3. We'll take a time. I'll be back with more. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Stick around.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Ruud gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy-efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Ruud, and so should you.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions, reminding you that it is open enrollment for Medicare.
Now through December 7th, those who qualify can visit our local independent agency by calling us at 330-953-3722 or visiting us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
2020 will be a season like we've never seen before, but 21 Sports and YSN will be there for every key moment. The plays, the players, and the stories that will headline this season. Delivered by 21 Sports and YSN.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
You may find yourself in some difficulty this winter. Don't get whacked by high heating bills. Call Michael at MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Michael is a trusted friend who will be able to help you with many things, like getting a 95% high-efficiency furnace this winter from Ruud. Michael relies on Ruud, so should you. Call MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate, 330-259-0486, and take care of your heating and air situation.
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. 0813. Anthony, as we get into basketball, and there's a couple of teams that have already started their season. Most of the high schools have not started their season. Why don't you say we go into the league lineups in terms of where everyone is, and because there's some differences with football. I'll give you a great example. Boardman, Canfield, Fitch, Harding, and Howland. They're in a league in basketball, the All-American Conference. That is going to be their league. Normally, these 5 teams aren't in a league in terms of football, but these 5 teams have decided that they would play each other in a league in basketball. Now, personally, again, my personal opinion, I think that this would be a great football league, but I can understand from Canfield and Howland's perspective why they wouldn't want to have Canfield or Boardman, Fitch, and Harding as part of their league. But I do like the idea of these 5 teams playing in a league, and this could be a really good basketball league, Anthony.
Yeah, and when I'm looking at it, I mean, boys and girls, I think when you're looking at girls, Canfield is really good in that league. They have Alyssa Dill, who's one of the premier players in the area. Then you have Fitch, who's got senior led, and then you have Boardman, who's also senior led. I think it's going to be a very strong conference in the boys. I mean, man, Boardman has a height advantage over almost everyone they play because they just got a lot of height on that team. They lost some of their best players, so they're going to have to prove a lot of people wrong when they come to scoring. But I think Boardman will still have their hands in that. And then when you look at Howland girls, under new management, I'm excited to see how that's handled because they got a guy from Matthews who's kind of really going up in division in class. So to see how he handles that caliber of a program will be fun to see. And I'm kind of excited for that league. You never really know what you're going to get when you have only 5 teams in a conference and they all don't like each other and they all know each other so well.
The Steel Valley Conference remains the same: Mooney, Ursuline, Cheney, and East, which I think is a fantastic conference. And again, if you can move those 4 teams into the All-American Conference and have a 9-team conference where Mooney, Ursuline, Cheney, and East go alongside the 5 programs that we mentioned, holy crap, is that a supersized, unbelievably great division? That's maybe down in the future, who knows? But the Steel Valley Conference, Mooney, Ursuline, Cheney, and East, that remains unchanged. So does the Northeast 8. Girard, Hubbard, Jefferson, Lakeview, Niles, Poland, South Range, Struthers. These leagues, not only fantastic in football, these leagues are going to be fantastic in basketball as well.
When you look at, we'll start with the Northeast 8. South Range, girls' side, South Range and Poland are going to be the 2 teams that are really fighting for that top spot. But there are some teams that I think could really be sleepers that could maybe throw a monkey wrench into things. I think, Hubbard is slowly improving. They're going to be a young, scrappy team that can score some points. You can never sleep on Struthers because they have one of the best scorers in that league in Emma Alaya. You can't sleep on Girard either because you look at the way that Girard finished the season last year, and they started to compete a lot in these NE8 games down the second half of the season. So if they can build on that, they have plenty of senior leadership that Girard can definitely be a team that throws a monkey wrench into that league. But when you look at it, and if everything kind of goes the way it's supposed to, it should be going down to those 2 games between South Range and Poland. I mean, on the girls' side. Those are the 2 teams that you look at that league and you go, they are the class of the league. Poland's won 2 in a row. I don't think they've even lost in any game in the 2 seasons they've played. So they're they're at the top. You got to beat them to beat them. But it's going to be those 2 teams on the girls. Now on the boys' side, it's really interesting because Struthers returns a lot, Poland returns a lot. So I think those are the 2 teams you really have to look out for on the boys' side when you're talking about the NE8.
Yeah, and South Range had a 16-win season. They lost in the district semifinal to Waterloo, but John Cullen is one of the best coaches, so you know that team is going to be a player. And
I had the chance to call their game on Friday against West Branch, and you never sleep on John Cullen's ability to play good defense and to keep his team in striking distance no matter who they're playing. The thing that they have to work on is just getting consistent scoring. I mean, they had Michael Petrone score 16, and then no one else on the team got in the double figures. So they need someone to step up and be a consistent scorer on that team, or they're not going to be able to really compete with the Polands and the Struthers.
Well, Struthers is going to be unbelievable. I mean, this is a team that was 21-4 last year. They lost to Cheney by 3 points, and they return a ton.
They do.
I mean, a ton of talent. It could very well, the Division II tournament, and again, we could be seeing a supersized district where 2 districts form into one. We could very well see Struthers and Cheney on opposite ends, and maybe these 2 teams wind up winning a district championship and see each other in the first round of the regionals.
That would be fun. I mean, I'm sure if they do the supersized districts and it goes down like volleyball, those will be 2 teams that look at each other and say, we don't want to play each other for a district championship. We want, we want both our teams to get into the regional, and then if we get that far, we'll play each other for a regional final or whatever it may be. So I think if they're given the chance to choose and they take care of business and they end up being one of the top seeds for both their respective programs, they might look at that and say, let's avoid each other in the districts. That way we both have a chance to get in. And that game can be a lot bigger than just a district championship.
Steel Valley Conference, both boys and girls. Let's take a look at this. Mooney, historically their boys basketball program through the years has been pretty solid.
Competitive. I mean, they're always competitive.
Last year they lost to Columbiana in a sectional bracket final. They finished the year 12-12, but they do have a few kids back, and there could be some pretty good talent coming back. I mean, 3 of their 4 leading scorers from last year comes back, so Cardinal Mooney should be a fun team. But look, let's just make sure everyone is aware of this. This conference runs through Cheney.
Yeah, it
for
does.
The boys.
It does, and of course, Cheney and East aren't playing until January 4th because they're part of that Youngstown city schools that closed, right? So it's not. It doesn't include Mooney and Ursuline.
Does not include Mooney
but
and
it
Ursuline.
does include Cheney and East.
Yes.
So they're not playing for at least the foreseeable future. And then when Ursuline, I think they're extremely well coached. They're disciplined, and they'll have a hand in that too.
No, this is going to be a fun conference, but Cheney should be the favorite. On the girls' side, what are you looking at?
Well, Ursuline's the thing that I thought was going to make Ursuline really good coming into this season was they had Paris Gilmore last year, and she was just one of those girls that could really run the floor well and really score. But Paris Gilmore, of course, left Ursuline, now going and playing at Kennedy Catholic over in Pennsylvania. So a lot of unknowns for Ursuline. So I'm excited to see them on the floor. They're usually extremely athletic. They usually like to run in transition, get a lot of easy buckets off their defense. So we'll see how they go. I'm excited to see what Ursuline puts on the floor as far as their girls goes. Mooney's the opposite in girls. They like to be big. They like to be physical. And they're going to be the team that wants to slow the game down and keep it in the 40s. And so it's always fun to watch those 2 teams go at it, even back in the day when it was like Dejanet Harris versus like Cachetta Rinaldi on the Mooney Ursuline game, because they were so different in styles. And it was fun to watch those two teams really battle it out and try to see who can control the tempo.
Physical post versus wide open up and down the floor. Right. And it's just it comes down to which tempo wins out, right. which team controls the tempo. That's why high school basketball is so freaking great. I love it.
And we had some really good basketball over the weekend. I mean, like I said, South Branch and West Branch played each other. West Branch looked like their boys are going to be really a tough team to beat because they have height and they have some really strong post players. Gregory is about 6'4" in there, and he clogs up the lane. But then they got Jason Hendershot, a guard that can just shoot the lights out. He had 17 points against South Range, and he hit a lot of threes. And Drew DeShields is just a top-notch athlete. I think West Branch is going to be a really good boys team this season, and they're going to be someone to contend with.
This is a basketball team that won 18 games last year. Yeah. And unfortunately for them, they were locked up in a sectional bracket final against Ursuline, which should pretty much tell you just how loaded that Boardman district was last year. They lost to Ursuline 48-42, but an 18-5 season, that's a pretty solid year. And again, they've got 6 kids coming back.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good West Branch team.
And a lot of their talent is young. They have 5 seniors on the team, but only 1 senior in the starting lineup. So they have a lot of starting talent that is young and still, kind of inexperienced. So that when they really get their feet wet and really sync up, they're just a tough team to deal with because they play good interior defense, and they have players that can really shoot the lights out too.
The Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference, the gray tier, same as in football. Brookfield, Camel, Champion, Crestview, LeBray, Liberty, Newton Falls. I had an opportunity to see the Crestview girls play Springfield. There's lots of room for an improvement with that team, but you can tell that team is quite talented both inside and out.
And the Lady Rebels are coming off the district runner-up. They lost to South Range in the district championship last year. They return a lot. They lost a big player in Tanner Hofford, of course, but they're still returning Mara Hallis, who you as we've said before, didn't get to really play that whole first quarter. But she's still a really good point guard when she does get to play. Krista Perry. You saw her firsthand.
My goodness.
The versatility to be able to go in and out and be dominating the post, but also have the ball handles and the guard skills to play on the perimeter makes her so tough to guard.
She's got a good perimeter shot too.
Yes.
It was just she's an all-around player. She can beat you on the perimeter. She can beat you at the post. She's a double-double machine. She'll get rebounds. She's a very physical defensive player without having deep foul trouble.
Right.
You can tell that there's an awful lot of basketball fundamentals within how she plays.
You saw the coming out party of Emily Hill and what she can do when given the opportunity.
Yeah.
She's going to make that team really good. And when you look at the other teams that kind of might compete with Crestview on the girls' side, LeBray's got a lot of height. They can definitely compete with Crestview. Newton Falls is always in that. And then I think Brookfield, I've seen them. They're young, but they're talented. So I think Brookfield might have a couple of words to say in that conference on the girls' side.
On the boys' side, Newton Falls is a basketball factory. I mean, it's always been said if you're not really good in one sport, you got to be really good in the other sport. Newton Falls is a really good basketball program, and Coach Sembach is the talent he has year in, year out is incredible.
And he produces it like it's crazy. Like they are always rebuilding. Every time you think, Newton Falls is losing a lot, they come out with some awesome freshman class that's gonna blow out the league. It's just like Newton Falls never goes down a peg. Every time they might not be quite as good as they were the year before, but they never go from here down to here.
Yeah.
Which some teams do. I mean, you lose a lot of good seniors, you're going to spend a couple of years down here for a minute. But Newton Falls never seems to have that drop-off when they lose good seniors.
This is a fun league, very, very under-the-radar type of league.
I think
Liberty and LeBray and Crestview are all going to be the type of programs where they can bring it on a night-in, night-out basis.
Yeah, I think Crestview is going to be one of those teams that, under Rick Gates, very well coached. They still have Drake Golden, and they're going to have a really, really fun season. And I think they could surprise some people because they've been kind of down for a while, and this might be their coming out party a little bit for the Crestview Rebels.
This should be a lot of fun. Scarlet Tier, you've got Jackson, Milton, Lowellville, McDonald, Mineral Ridge, Sebring, Springfield, Waterloo, Western Reserve. Obviously, with not so good in football, but really good in basketball, the very definition of that would be Sebring. It's not nearly as good a program as it was when Rick Brook was on the sidelines and he had unbelievable talents. I mean, that was the gold standard of back then Class A ball and then later Division IV basketball. They were the gold standard for a long, long time. Now, they have gone down to Columbus since Rick Brook left. Brian Clark had that team in Columbus, I want to say in the early 21st century. It's still a very, very good basketball program.
Yeah, and they're scrappy. They're always competing with people, and like you said, those are high standards to live up to. So they're not going to be as good as they were back then. But, they always seem to have their hands in the cookie jar when it comes to that league. And when you also talk about it, Western Reserve, they're going to be a physical team that likes to control the post. And that's going to be a fun league, too. A lot of newcomers. And a lot of teams that haven't played each other in quite a minute to kind of get back to some old rivalries.
Well, Springfield is going to be a fun team.
Well,
McDonald.
Springfield, I mean, everyone thinks Springfield lost a lot, which they did, but they are returning a lot too. And Bo Bungard, like I said before, I've said on this program, he's not like the standout basketball player like he is on the football field, but you're going to see his leadership really shine through and during basketball season, the way he's able to lead that team, the way he's able to kind of control that team when he's not the quote-unquote superstar in the sport. I think basketball is when you really see Bo's leadership step up.
Well, McDonald is without Rasil, both coach and Zach, but the team is returning an awful lot of talent, and Coach Francis-Shelley will. This is going to be a good team.
And Francis-Shelley's been a part of the program, so he knows exactly what he has. So it's not someone new. I mean, it's someone that's been there, done that, and he's not going to be lost when he's looking at that roster. He knows exactly what he's got and exactly how to utilize it, and that's going to make McDonald very dangerous.
Now, on the flip side, here's the good news. You're still going to be pressing for McDonald. The bad news for the boys program, you might have to be second in line in terms of excitement because the McDonald girls, oh my goodness, is that a talented team.
I'm very excited to see McDonald this year because Matisse, he said it, and then he proved it against Columbiana. He's going to loosen the reins on the Howard girls a little bit and just let that team be, just show off their athleticism. And when they can kind of improvise and show off their athleticism like they did against Columbiana, they can be so hard to deal with. And I think he's going to do a good job of kind of pulling back the reins a little bit and taking a little bit, letting that team improvise a little bit and just use your athleticism and instincts a little bit. And he's so good at doing that with teams that have such good athleticism. He did it at South Range with the freshmen that he had that are seniors now. And I think he's going to do it really well this year with McDonald.
Is there a team or two that could make things interesting in the Scarlet tier?
For the girls?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, West Brand. I mean,
Western Reserve.
Western Reserve. I mean, you still got Danny Vuletic. She's still going to be a problem to deal with. They're still going to be very competitive with McDonald. They were last year. They will be this year. And they can shoot. Western Reserve can shoot the three like crazy. If they are on, they're going to make that very, very competitive against McDonald.
The Northeastern Athletic Conference, some teams that we might see in the YSN family. Badger, Bloomfield, Bristol, Chalker, Fairport Harbor, Lordstown, Maplewood, Matthews, Pie Valley, and Wyndham. It's an interesting league. Most of these teams don't have a football program, so it's a mishmash of teams that are basketball only, and be interesting.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to watch any of those teams on either side in a while since one of our area teams goes down there and play them. But I think Pie Valley, they've got to have a historically good girls team, and their football team was pretty impressive. So I imagine that might transfer. Doesn't always, but it might transfer into a basketball program.
Well, there's two boys basketball factories. Wyndham and Badger have historically been unbelievably good basketball programs, and I don't know if that's going to be the same or not. But this speaks to the D4 districts, where you could have two districts mashing up.
I remember John Vargo said it. You got to keep your eye on Bristol.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But the two districts that could mash up could be the Grand Valley and the Struthers district. It makes perfect sense for those two districts to be the districts that mash up.
Yeah, you're right.
D4.
You're right. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't. And I think it'll be the same as volleyball, where they're going to just have to tie a high seed host all the way to district championships.
It'll be interesting. And obviously the EOAC, Columbiana, East Palestine, Leetonia, Lisbon, Southern, United, Valley Christian, and Wellsville. Valley Christian, their inclusion into this league, maybe not felt from a football standpoint, it is gonna be felt basketball-wise. This is a good basketball program joining a league that needed a good basketball program to fill out their league.
Yeah, especially on the boys' side. I mean, that's going to give that conference a lot of credibility, and it's going to make it hard for Columbiana, who before that might have been favored this year, to kind of repeat and come back, and now all of a sudden Valley Christian is in there, and that's going to make it really hard for some of these teams to put a foothold on that conference. But I think United's going to have a say in it because Keaton Baker is just a scoring machine. I think Columbiana, even though they lost a lot, will still have a very competitive team. I think Lisbon will also have a very good, solid team that can go down and compete with people. Latonia, you can speak on them. They're going to be competitive.
They're going to be fun to watch. And again,
they're starting to get that winning mentality
they are.
A little bit.
They are. And I think that this whole pandemic might very well be a good thing, if there is such a thing, for schools like Leetonia, who's inexperienced and young, and especially for a Lisbon. I'm going to tell you right now, and I saw this firsthand seeing Lisbon 2 times in junior high basketball. The now freshman class, last year they were 8th graders, that team is going to define just how good of a program Lisbon is for the next 4 years. That is going to be a damn good basketball program. And there's some, there are going to be some happy people in Lisbon for sure, because that basketball program is going to get a whole lot better. And I think that the basketball program at Leetonia has the potential to be a whole lot better, and we'll see what happens.
They were competitive last year. Now they have to take that second step.
Yes.
And I think they're starting to learn how to win in all their sports. I mean, the athletes that go from football to basketball are starting to learn how to win instead of play not to lose.
Yeah.
And that makes them dangerous because they're athletic and they're good, they're talented. They just have to go in with that winning mindset. And I think they're finally going to start doing that.
There's some kids that needed to get healthy. Marco Ferry is at the top of the list, and Tommy Finch is another kid that needed to be healthy. I think that this could very well be a blessing in disguise, even though you don't want to start the season later in the year. They have a COVID outbreak right now, so they're not playing basketball for another week or so. But it gives everyone an opportunity to be healthy and more of an opportunity to get the finishing touches on some stuff. But I think the Leetonia boys going to be much improved. I think Leetonia girls are going to be a lot of fun to watch as well. Coach Ritz will certainly have some talent.
Yeah, the girls' side of the OAC gets very, very interesting because a lot of teams lost a lot of their stars. You look at Lisbon, they lost Izzy Perez. You look at Columbiana, they lost Kayla Maslowski. You look at United, they lost a lot of what made them competitive. So it's a lot of young teams trying to kind of get their feet wet a little bit and trying to regain some foothold after losing, their team's kind of superstars for the last 3 years. I've seen United play at Brookfield. They have everything it takes to kind of win that conference, I think. But, like I said, young. They got to get into sync. They got to get into the gym. They got to get reps. If United shuts down for a while, that'll hurt teams like that. So United has to hope that they can get as many reps as possible with that young group. They have a freshman named Grace Knight. Got the height, got the ability down low, can also play a little bit in the perimeter. She's going to be fun to watch in that conference.
One name that needs to be brought out for the boys, and mainly because they might have the best coach of the entire conference, and Coach Bug down in Wellsville. That program is going to be a lot of fun in the next few years. The now 8th graders, they completely destroyed everyone in the EOAC, and that's a very talented group. And their 8th graders, who are now freshmen, was quite a talented group as well. Coach Bug Thompson, will have he's going to have a tremendous amount of talent. Not that he doesn't have a lot of talent already. Wellsville has historically been a solid basketball program. I love this conference, both boys and girls. This is going to be one of those conferences where it's only going to get better.
Wellsville always seems to be that team that people kind of forget about because they play kind of in the isolated area. No one really is around them, and you go into that gym like you kind of sleep on them a little bit, and they punch you in the mouth real quick.
Yeah, they do.
And So Wellsville is always, like you said, always good. Probably a benefactor of being one of those teams that plays in an isolated area where they don't get talked about now.
A couple of independent teams that are certainly going to be worthy of discussing. Heartland Christian, who played Salem over the weekend and played them very tough.
Very tough. Salem was just, depth kind of became an issue. And anytime you're Heartland Christian and you're playing against a team that's D2, depth is going to become an issue. So that's one of the things that wore them down a little bit.
We talked about Warren JFK and their football prowess.
Wow,
their basketball team is going to be pretty damn good, and they're going to be someone that we're going to watch for as well.
Very closely. They have a very well-coached team. They have a lot of athletes. They have a lot of scoring capability. And they had a really good season last year to build off of. So very fun-looking program in Warren JFK, both sides, really.
Garrettsville Garfield is soon to be a member of the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference. That'll be next year. They're an independent this year.
They're still in the conference with Southeast.
Okay.
So.
The G-men will bring some cachet next year to not just football. They'll bring some serious cachet with basketball as well.
And their girls team is going to be between them and Southeast for that conference. They have a very strong girls team. And they'll be in the thick of it. I mean, they're playing their conference teams 3 times this year because their conference didn't want to go out and find more opponents. So I was talking with their coach last week before they played West Branch, and he was joking with me. He said, "Yeah, we just had the bad luck to draw Southeast twice, so they have to go to Southeast."
2 teams out of the Eastern Buckeye League, Salem and West Branch. We talked about the West Branch boys, 18-5. They're returning a ton of kids. That's just going to get an even better program.
And then, their whole basketball program is going to be exciting because their girls, of course, state semifinals last year, got called off the court. Everyone knows what they're bringing to the table. Lost a lot. They did. They lost 6 seniors. But I've seen them play, and once they get in sync, they're going to be just as talented as they were last year.
Coach DeShields will have them in sync before too long. Breaking down division-wise, 3 programs are Division I for the boys, Fitch, Boardman, and Harding. 5 teams are Division I for the girls, Fitch, Harding, Boardman. Howland and Canfield are both Division I. Kind of seems a little unfair that these 2 programs would be Division I, but
Canfield's they're always in a tough spot because they're the smallest Division I girls team in the state of Ohio. So they're always their tournament's always going to be a gauntlet. Last year they lost to Warren Harding. It's a tough world for Canfield.
All right, Division II, the boys, these schools sound familiar because they encompass the Boardman district. Howland, Canfield, Niles, East, Cheney, Hubbard, West Branch, Salem, Poland, Lakeview, Girard, Struthers, Ursuline. It's the only district tournament where every single team is a local team.
And about 6 teams you just rattled off have a legitimate chance of winning a district. If there was a large district like that, 6 teams I would be confident to say could win that district.
Both boys and girls.
Yes, I mean it's good. The girls play at Fitch, and that district is always highly competitive. And especially this year, now that Salem's moved up a division, for the last couple of years, Salem's been in that division as well. They used to be Division III. They'd play in the Struthers district at South Range, but now they're Division II, and that just makes that bracket even more competitive.
There are a couple of changes in Division II for girls. The holdovers, Cheney, Niles, West Branch, East, Hubbard, Salem, Struthers, Poland, Girard, Lakeview. Cardinal Mooney is Division II for girls. They're not Division II for the boys. They're Division III. But Mooney girls, Division II, welcome to the club. You got a good team. And this is not a bad Cardinal Mooney team. They could make some noise in D2.
They've been there before, too. I mean, back when, like I said, when it was Mooney had, Conchetta Rinaldi and Ursula Dacian at Harris, they were fighting each other in the district semifinals. So Mooney has been there before in the girls' side of the bracket, and they'll know what to do when they get into that Fitch district.
Okay, Ursuline is D2 for boys. They're D3 for the girls. Cardinal Mooney is the opposite. D2 for the girls. Mooney is D3 for the boys. The rest of Division III looks like this. Garrettsville, Garfield, Grand Valley, Liberty, Champion, South Range, Crestview, Camel, LeBray, Columbiana, Mineral Ridge, Newton Falls, Springfield, East Palestine, Pie Valley. Anthony, we split the two districts. And again, if you're mashing two districts into one, Salem and Warren Harding is perfect sense to mash those two districts into one. All of that talent that I just mentioned, forget about it. That's some good basketball right there.
You're absolutely in line. Like you said, especially on the boys' side, there's probably 4 or 5 teams that you just rattled off that could easily win that district. I mean, it's so competitive and so many good basketball teams. For the first time in a while in this area, you can look and see more than 2 or 3 teams with legitimate shots at winning district championships.
The girls' D3 looks like this. Garfield, Champion, Crestview, South Range, Ursuline, Liberty, East Palestine, Pie Valley, Grand Valley, LeBray, Camel, Columbiana, Brookfield, and Mineral Ridge. Some good basketball programs.
Yeah, and South Range is in there, which it's just tough because South Range plays the upper schedule. So they're going to play all the NE8 schools, which are almost all of them are division up. And then, talk about testing your team. They went up to Laurel, who is one of the top teams in Division II in the state. Lost in the regional finals last year. And they went up to Laurel and played the Gators over the weekend and looked pretty competitive in doing it, by the way. So if I'm in Division III and I'm looking at that South Range team in the district, I'm thinking, oh, man.
Wherever they are, I don't want to be any part of that district.
I mean, Laurel had no answers for Izzy Lamparty. So good luck trying to find an answer for her.
Well, again, this might be a situation where if the two districts are mashed in northern Trumbull County District, where do they play? Is it LeBray or where does the Division III? I know Division III, Mahoning and Columbiana County is Struthers.
The other one,
I wanted to say it was LeBray, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, because Champion plays there. Newton Falls would play there in the normal season.
I mean, regardless,
I think it's LeBray.
Wherever it is, those two districts combined, we might very well get 2 local teams winning those 2 districts going on into the regionals.
And I think Garfield is in. I mean, you said it. They're in Division III. They're a strong team.
Ooh,
they can. If Garfield wins a district and South Range wins a district, those are 2 very formidable teams to go into the regionals for our area.
Division IV, let's go with the boys first. Brookfield, Valley Christian, Western Reserve, Kennedy, McDonald, Jackson Milton, Badger, Matthews, Maplewood, Leetonia, Sebring, Bristol, Lordstown, Wyndham, Chalker, Lowellville, Heartland Christian, and Bloomfield. Look, right off the top of the bat, and John Vargo mentioned Badger. Badger and Kennedy. McDonald's going to be good. Sebring is going to be good. That Newton Falls, that Springfield is D3, so you don't have to worry about them. Lowellville brings it every year come tournament time. There's some programs, again, if two tournaments are mashed up together, Kennedy and Badger, you don't want to see them in the same district tournament. One of them will come to Struthers.
Right.
This is, if you're not an elite Division IV program, good luck. That's all I'm going to say. Good luck.
It makes it fun. This is what was fun about the volleyball tournament. You see different teams come in, and you see more chances for area teams to go into regionals because of the fact that they can avoid each other in the districts.
If this is the future of the OHSAA, where they're no longer going to have one district tournament, where they're just going to mash 2 district tournaments into one mega-sized one with 2 district winners, every single program that is trying to improve, you better come with your A game. Otherwise, forget about it. And by the way, Lisbon was not mentioned in this, nor was Southern, nor was United, nor was I think United is a 3. Wellsville is Division 4. So you better bring it if you're going to be one of these programs that's starting to get on the horizon of being good, you better start bringing it.
And I can strongly, on the girls' side, I doubt that McDonald and Western Reserve will be in the same bracket. So you're going to have to deal with one of those two teams to win the district championship.
Yeah, and here's the girls. Springfield, who I saw, and they're pretty good.
J.C. Mullen, man.
And they were without 2 starters.
Right.
And they gave Crestview a pretty nice scare.
I think J.C. scored more than anybody on Crestview's team.
She had 22, and Krista Perry had 21.
She has the height to go into the post. She's versatile, just like Krista Perry.
Yeah.
Maybe Krista's probably a little bit more physical. That's what I kind of get. I don't know what your takeaway was, but Krista's probably a little bit more physical. But JC's probably got the more of the outside game that she can go to. She can hit a little bit more perimeter shots.
JC's going to be a lot of fun to deal with for the next 3
sophomore,
years.
So
yeah, she had 3 more years for all you MVAC Scarletier folk.
Right.
You got to deal with her for another 3 years. This year, next year, and the following year. Congratulations on that one. Springfield, Newton Falls, McDonald, Valley Christian, Maplewood, Leetonia, Badger, Matthews, Western Reserve, Jackson Milton, Lordstown, Kennedy, Lowville, Wyndham, Sebring, Chalker, Heartland Christian. You got to include Lisbon in this. You got to include Wellsville in this. You got to include Southern in this. There's some good basketball. And again, if you're doing a supersized district, if you're one of those teams that's on the teeter edge of being good, you better get good.
You better get good.
Yeah, you better get good. This is, and it's been a while since we've said it, but the last couple of years, and I'll have numbers when we come back on Wednesday. I've written down what our area has done the last 3 years when they're playing out-of-town teams in the sectional, district, and regional tournaments. We've improved to the point where we're now more than just competitive. We're actually becoming pretty good. So this is going to be a whole lot more fun to watch.
Well, there is a downside to the super brackets, and that is usually you get one really competitive one and one that's just a 1 seed and everybody else. Can you happen in volleyball? Like Crestview was a 1 seed in volleyball, and then all the other high seeds like 1 to 5 avoided 2 to 5 avoided them. So like the highest seed in Crestview's bracket was the 6. So there's the possibility there where you get one really competitive bracket with seeds 2 through 5, and then you get another bracket with seeds 1 and then 6 and everybody else, and it's not quite as competitive as the other district bracket.
Yeah, but I'm looking at some of these teams.
Yes.
Is there really a head and shoulders team in any division where the other 2 through 5 seeds would look at them and say, I want no part of you. We're going to the other district tournament.
We'll see where West Branch is at the end of the season, South Range, but not too many teams that you're like, I do not want any part of that. I will go down, to and deal with the 2 seed.
Yeah.
Because especially in Division 4, you don't want to deal with McDonald while your 2 seed is going to be Western Reserve. So you're going to have to pick your poison. And it might not be such an easy thing to go say, hey, we'll just deal with Western Reserve.
And if you're going to we assume the Grand Valley district or wherever the Division 4 is for girls, you're also going to be dealing with Kennedy girls. Right. You're also going to be dealing with the Newton Falls girls, assuming that they're in that. Maplewood girls are in that. Badger is going to be up there. Wyndham is going to probably be up there. Chalker's going to be up there. I don't know. Do you have a really, really good basketball program in the other district where you go, okay, this one's really good. This team's really good. Where do we want to go here?
Right.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, does basketball have a better chance of balancing each other out because there's more talent in basketball?
And the fact that we've talked about it before, volleyball is a really hard sport to upset somebody, and because you have to be better 3 games out of 5. Basketball, you could just have a good shooting night, and all of a sudden you're gonna upset a team. So it's a little bit easier to kind of have parity in basketball than volleyball. So you might see a little bit more competitive games within the brackets that might be a 1 seed, and then all of a sudden you see the next highest seed be a 4 or a 5. It might be a little bit more competitive, but that's just a chance you take when you put two seeds, two brackets, and you say you can pick wherever you want to go. You obviously run the risk of one bracket being super competitive, the other bracket being not so much.
Okay, we've announced all the teams where they are, divisions 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's throw out some names here. I mean, Division 1, boys and girls. I mean, obviously the boys, the biggest schools are the Division 1 schools. Austintown Fitch, Brian Beanie, his team was 10-13 last year. Boardman, Pat Birch's team was 22-2. They lost to McKinley in the district semifinals. Harding, year in, year out, they have a nice program. Does any of these three programs have a legitimate chance to get out of a district?
D1 is so hard because it's just a different level. I mean, Boardman was so good last year, and they got beat in the district semifinals. Canfield was really good in the girls' side. They got beat by Warren Harding. And then Warren Harding got beat in the next round. They didn't even get out of districts. So districts is hard to get out of in Division I just because it's a whole different level of basketball, and a lot of these area Division I schools are on the small scale of Division I. So I think the teams that have the best shot probably on the boys' side, you got to go with Boardman, even though I know they lost a lot, but I think they're going to be still very adequate. On the girls' side, yeah, I want to say Canfield, but man, what they're going to run into in that tournament, it's a uphill battle for the Cardinals to get out of district. Harding, on the other hand, they could probably get out of that district because they were so close to doing it last year, and they return a lot, and they have Birch, who just signed to Cleveland State. So I think Harding girls could probably get out of that Division I district.
All right, Division II with the boys. I'm just going to tell you this right now.
It gets fun.
Last year's Boardman district was so much fun because you had Cheney, you had Struthers, you had Poland, you had Ursuline. West Branch didn't even get into the district semifinals. I mean, it was just so damn deep. Honestly, there are about 5 or 6 teams in Division II that if they just keep this Boardman district and they don't supersize the two districts, 5 or 6 of these teams can legitimately lay claim to a district championship right now if things go right.
They're all area schools, so they might beat up on each other. They might see each other in the regular season before they even get to the districts. Poland and Struthers will, because they're in the same league.
Yeah.
So,
and Canfield is a team we really haven't talked about, but Canfield's going to be fun this year. I mean, are they as good as a Struthers, a Cheney, a Poland? I don't know, but we're going to find out.
I think Canfield is going to be one of those teams that's going to be under the radar per se because a lot of people aren't expecting a lot from them. But sometimes that can be to your advantage. I mean, when you're not facing the pressures that most Canfield teams are, you can surprise some people. And they have a good coach. They're going to be disciplined at least, so that they can really forge that under the radar kind of feel and surprise some people.
And out of Western Mahoning County, there's a green wave a coming. And that West Branch team, holy crap, are they good?
Both sides. I mean, the boys are tall. Drew DeShields is an athlete. Hindershot can shoot the ball. He lives up to his Hindershot name.
He's a Salem name.
He takes a shot, and he does it really well. They have a lot of interior defense. I really didn't see a lot of glaring holes when I was watching them on Friday night. There's always things you can fix. But like when you can tell a team if they have like an unbelievable hole where it's going to take a while to fix it. They didn't have any of those like, oh man, this is a really big weakness of this team that's going to hold them back. They really looked like a strong team that could really make a run.
Monumental milestone is ahead for Coach Grisdale over at Poland. He's 10 wins away from 500.
Not a lot of coaches get to do that, but Grisdale's one of the better ones in the area, and he returns a lot.
Yes, he does.
So Poland's going to be fun. Poland Struthers, I'm excited for that matchup both times in Poland and in Struthers. I'm also excited for some of those other teams in the NE8, like Girard. I think they can make a run in the boys' side. South Range, like we said, Coach Collin, you can never count him out because he's going to play. his team's going to play good enough defense to keep them in striking distance of anybody. It's hard to score more than 60 points on him. And if you do, you're not going to get too far into the 60s. So if his team manages to find offense that night, then you could really, really be in trouble.
Gerard's 1 year away.
Yeah, 1 year.
From being
But
really,
those-
really special.
those
But it could be
schools-
ahead of
Those
schedule.
schools that you always see they're 1 year away, they always
Yeah.
manage to.
And Coach Hannon is really good at what he does. He's done a great job over at Gerard.
We learned football season that in 2020, 1 year away equals you're here now.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. On the girls' side, again, West Branch is the team, but Poland is going to be fun.
They have to be the team until someone comes up and beats them.
But
And
Poland is going to be fun.
Poland's going to be fun. You got Jackie Grisdale, you have half the battle, but
Yeah.
they lost Caitlin Brown, who was a big kind of, secondary, big complimentary player to Jackie Grisdale.
Yeah.
And now someone else is going to have to step up and be that person that can, take a lot of the defensive pressure off of Jackie so she can get some space to score.
There's some other programs that I think are going to be a lot of fun to
Salem's
watch.
going to be a good girls
Yeah.
team, and they're going to open their season tonight against United. We're going to see what Salem brings to the table. Tough week for Salem. They play 3 out of 4 days, and their opponents are United, Poland, and South Range. So they're gonna have a tough week. We're gonna find out a lot about what the Salem team brings to the table this week.
That's a really good beginning of the season.
Right.
There's no gimmies there by any stretch of the imagination. Division III boys. There's some pretty solid programs, and some pretty solid potential as
And,
well.
I want to see if Canton Central Catholic is Division III because they always come into that district and ruin everybody's good time.
Well, here's the thing. If the two districts are mashing into one, if you're Canton Central Catholic, how could you possibly leave the Salem district that's been so good to you?
Right.
There's no way that you would do that.
Ugh. They've been the spoilers of a lot of good local teams.
South Range is, they're
Probably Cullen's best team he's had so far ran into Canton Central Catholic and just couldn't quite. They made a comeback attempt, but they just couldn't quite get over Canton Central Catholic.
Yeah, there's a few good programs that I think potentially could really make some noise at South Range, Newton Falls, Springfield, Cardinal Mooney. Only because they're playing the Seal Valley Conference, and they're going to be upgrading their schedule. They'll play D1 programs like Boardman and Harding without any problems. So that's schedule-wise, they'll have everyone jacked up. I think Crestview returns everybody, and again, if they can be in sync from day one, this program could be a lot of fun to watch this year.
Yeah, and once again, I can't praise their coaching staff enough. And when you have a strong coaching staff, that's half the battle. And they're never going to lose a game because of coaching mistakes or because of discipline, because of how well coached they are.
D3 girls. Again, Gerard, Champion, Crestview, South Range, Ursuline, Liberty, Palestine, Pie Valley, Grand Valley, LeBray, Campbell, Columbiana, Brookfield, Mineral Ridge. Right off the top, South Range and Crestview girls, they met for a district championship.
And then Liberty lost a lot. That made them really special the last 2 years. But you also have to look at Garfield, who's going to be in that mix because of the big districts. But when you look at South Range, and especially on the off, just take their offense. They are so hard to guard because they have so many people that can beat you in different ways. So when you look at trying to defend South Range is such a tall task. So it's going to be interesting to see how teams kind of do that this season.
And then Division 4, honest to God, top to bottom, this is just an unbelievably stacked for the small schools. This area is going to be stacked with talent. Where do you start? McDonald is going to be a lot of fun. Badger's going to be an awful lot of fun. Sebring historically has a fantastic program. Brookfield is Division 4 this year. Valley Christian, we'll see what they do in the EOAC this year. There's some good programs. This is going to be a lot of fun to see what happens in D4 for the guys.
That's why I can't wait until hopefully everyone is playing in January and we can see all these teams on the floor and really get a good sense of who's gonna, take the step into the limelight, especially in some of these divisions where we're saying, man, there are 6 or 7 teams that can walk away with it. Usually by January, you see some of those teams either step forward or step back. So I'm excited for January because that's when we're going to start to see, 1, all these teams play, and then 2, we're going to see what teams kind of stand out above the others.
All right, 22 games for a season. Dana Balish brought this up. There's coaches and ADs that are talking about playing 4 days in the course of a week. Hey, look, if it comes to doing that or practicing, you might as well play those games.
Look, Salem's doing, this week they have a game tonight, a game Wednesday night, a game Thursday night. If they just add the Saturday night game, that they'd have 4 games in a week, and a lot of teams might do that. They might play on Tuesday, Friday, Wednesday, and Saturday. For the boys and for the girls, it might be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
And as we throw out the calendar, let's assume for a second.
You get one practice day in between. If you're the boys, you get a practice day on Monday and Thursday. And then if you're the girls, you get a practice day on Tuesday and Friday. So you still get 2 practices in that, week of game time.
Let's throw out January the 4th, and obviously that's for Trumbull County. Everyone goes back to school. Hopefully, knock on wood, everyone is able to go to school after Christmas break, January the 4th. January the 4th would begin a 6-week process before the tournaments start for the girls. Yeah. Tournaments would start on February the 15th.
Most girls have about 12 to 14 games scheduled regularly between January 4th in the tournament. If you look at most schedules, the way they came out originally for this season, when we brought this up last week, I just pulled up Crestviews because it was the one I had up. They had 12 games between the 4th and the end of their season. So, if Crestview's already played 1, so that's 1 game under their belt. If they can play maybe 3 or 4 before then, and then they add maybe 4 games to that 12, then that could get them into the 20-game, threshold real quick.
It's not out of the realm of possibility to have 20 games if you go from January the 4th through February the 13th, which is 6 weeks. Now, if you have, let's say, 4 games already played before January the 4th, and some teams might have less, but we're going to go with an arbitrary number of 4. Okay, now you got to have 16 games in the next 6 weeks. That's more than doable.
Yeah, and these ADs have to be committed because they're running with their hair on fire trying to schedule new games on the fly. Even now, teams are picking up new opponents because their opponents canceled because of COVID in Trumbull County or whatever it may be. They're picking up new games. So props to all the athletic directors for
you're earning your money and then some.
Definitely for making sure if they can play, they're getting games scheduled, and if they can't, I'm sure the teams that are shut down until January are working on trying to find extra opponents to fit in open gaps between January and February.
Well, if you're in a league, and let's assume that there are some teams that aren't going to be playing any basketball to January the 4th, boys or girls. If you're in the Eastern Ohio Athletic Conference, that's an 8-team league. You play your league twice. That's 14 games right there. In a 6-week span for girls basketball, assuming you play 3 games a week, that's 18 games.
It's going to be really weird when you talk like the NE8. I think 3 of those teams are in Trumbull County, right? Hubbard, Niles.
Girard is up in the Trumbull County, so is Hubbard. Lakeview's up there as well, and Niles.
So Girard, Lakeview, Hubbard, Niles. So that's 4 teams you can't play until January 4th. But the other 4 teams are scheduled to play, each other in December or whatever. So you play those 4 teams, and then all of a sudden you only have 4 opponents that you have. You're gonna play those 4 teams probably in a condensed area between January and February twice. And then maybe 1 or 2 games between the other 4 teams. So it's interesting when you have a conference that has half the teams shut down, half the teams playing.
Yeah, and again, an 8-team conference. You can play your league 14 games between now and February 13th, which is the end of the regular season for the girls.
If you get the half of your conference schedule out of the way before January, if you can, if it keeps it, then all of a sudden your dates open up between January and February where you can fit in some more games that you couldn't play right now. So that might be an avenue for the NE8 where they can say, let's finish the games that we can before January. That way, when January opens up, we can open our schedule up to some other teams that are out of conference and only play with the 4 teams that are shut down.
Yeah, because there's some teams out of conference. If you want to venture into Harding, Howland, other teams in Trumbull County, Brookfield is in Trumbull County, Champion, LeBray is in Trumbull County. I think Liberty is just inside the Trumbull County line. Those programs.
For example, Poland was originally scheduled, their girls were originally scheduled to open the season tonight against Warren Harding. I'm sure Coach Blanche wants that game to happen at some point down the road.
Absolutely.
Now, if he gets half of his conference schedule done with before January 4th, then he has a lot more room to try to squeeze in Warren Harding between the 4th and the tournament start.
And given the fact that Harding is in a 5-team league, where you can play Boardman, Canfield, Fitch, and Howland, and that's 8 games, you're going to be stretching to try to get as many non-conference opponents as possible. Whereas in the EOAC, the Northeast 8, the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference Gray and Scarlet tier, you don't necessarily have a lot of wiggle room for non-conference games, especially if you can. But if you can get some of those out of the way before January the 4th, then you have a lot more wiggle room.
And look, from a fan perspective, Poland Harding is going to be a lot more fun late in the season when they're really
agreed
than it would be if they open the season with each other, where they're both just trying to gel as a team. It's going to be really fun if they play each other last week of the season when they're in full form, and that's going to be very fun to watch.
Yeah, and again, if 6 weeks, if you're able to play 3 games a week, that's 18 games. So you are pretty much in good shape. Now, if you don't have any games and you decide, okay, 3 weeks we're going to play three games, that's 9 games. The other 3 weeks we're going to play 4 games, that's 12. That's 21 games. So you've essentially played your basketball season in a 6 week span.
You just got to hope and pray that there's no interruptions because there's no more wiggle room.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing you got to hope and pray for.
The other part of this that has not really been mentioned, Mother Nature always has a say.
Right. So you're not just dealing with COVID, you're dealing with
you're dealing with winter storms like tonight and tomorrow. Let's go to Emmanuel. You're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on, Emmanuel?
How you doing today, my brother?
I'm good, man. Yourself?
Well, slightly confused about a couple things. I've been in and out listening to your show. Been kind of busy this morning.
Yeah.
But there's something I don't understand as far as Major League Baseball goes.
Yes.
Now, can you explain it to me again, what they just did?
Okay, Major League Baseball is coming up with a MLB draft league. The Mahoning Valley Scrappers are going to be one of what we believe to be 6 teams. 5 of them have been announced. The 6th one will be announced very shortly. These 6 teams will have a 30-man roster, and these 6 teams will be taking part in a league where the best of the best in college and junior college baseball, draft-eligible kids, will be playing in this league. These kids will have not been drafted yet as the season starts on June the 1st. As soon as their college season is over, they'll join one of these 6 teams, and they will play in a league that is essentially going to be all of the high-profile college and junior college baseball players looking to improve their draft stock. Once they're drafted by the Major League Baseball on All-Star Week, if they sign with another team, then obviously those kids will no longer be playing for this particular team. They'll go to their assigned club. But it's essentially going to be a showcase, albeit a 2-month showcase, where these kids that have not been drafted yet, they get an opportunity to improve their draft after the college baseball season.
Okay, my question to you is this, and I haven't heard anybody talk about this yet. So if I'm from the Dominican Republic, right, or Central America, and I'm 18 years old, and I'm a pretty good ball player, I can't play in that league?
No. No, this is only going to be for college-eligible and junior college draft-eligible players. Now, there are 2 leagues that are going to be playing. The old Appalachian League which was similar to the New York Penn League, where they were a short season A club. They are going to be housing the best of the best high school players. They're going to be playing, once their high school season is over, they're going to be playing to essentially try to improve their draft ability before the MLB draft, which is now going to be during the All-Star festivities with Major League Baseball. And then the non-draft eligible freshmen and sophomores in college will have the Cape Cod League, where they can have a summer of baseball up in the Cape Cod area, and the who's who of freshmen and sophomores in college via invitation can go to the Cape Cod League.
Well, what took them so long to put this together? They should have did this 10 years ago. Forget the RBI. I like what they just did.
Well, it's, again, with Major League Baseball, the short season A clubs were, originally, once you were drafted, you went to these particular places. Now, Major League Baseball has determined, well, we don't need the short season A ball. In our group, it's going to be low A, high A, double A, triple A, Major League Baseball. But for those that are going to be drafted, they're going to have this MLB Draft League. And again, Mahoning Valley, West Virginia, Williamsport, Trenton, and State College are the 5 teams. And there's going to be a 6th team. We're just not sure which team it is. These are the only 5 teams that are going to be housing the who's who of college baseball and junior college draft eligible kids. So we're going to have an unbelievably talented league that's going to be essentially trying to improve their draft stock. It's going to be a fun league if it is run the way I envision it to be run. This is going to be far better than the New York Penn League.
Well, I know one thing. I am not worried about the Scrappers organization. It has been run better than, also in some professional organizations. So I'm not worried about that.
No, I agree with you. I agree with
now
you.
Let me ask you another question. Well, a few months back, our buddy, the guy up there in Cleveland, right, would ask a question, and you asked the same question too. How will we grade the Cleveland Browns? And I said back then, I gave the Cleveland Browns an A, not quite an A+, because I'm trying to quote myself. I talked about how they have 2 good receivers. That's before Odell got hurt. I mentioned how they had 2 good running backs. That's before one of them got hurt, but he's back now. And I mentioned that if you have the second leading rusher in the league, right, then you got to have a halfway decent offensive line. So everybody said I was crazy, right? What are you talking about, the Browns? But I'm going to tell you, even with me saying that, I had no idea that the Cleveland Browns would win 8 out of the first 11 games. Nobody's seen that coming. Has anybody tried to claim that?
No, I gave them 7 in our preseason prediction. I had them at 7-9. And I believe Ron had them at like
9-7.
Yeah, so
9-7 with a possibility of 10-6.
So they're blowing out expectations, and kudos to them. They've been playing well. They've been playing winning football. They've been not exactly crystal clear perfect, but they have that winning culture. They're able to win close games like you saw yesterday, when they're not playing their best, but they're finding ways to win.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. I'm going to listen to this. What do you guys think the change that brought this about, or the changes? What do you guys think caused this? Because this is not an accident. They are legitimate 8-3. What's the difference now between the Cleveland Browns 2 years ago?
Well, I'm going to just first off say John Dorsey's footprints and handprints are still on this organization. And I think that even though his reign was only 1 year, I think that you're going to see that John Dorsey did a much better job than what the ownership would project John Dorsey having done. I also think, to a degree, that this goes to Sashi Brown, even when they sucked way back when Sashi Brown was a general manager and he was in way over his head. He accumulated a crap load of draft picks that allowed John Dorsey to have a successful first year, which I think you're now starting to see the makings. Now, this particular coaching staff, I think Stefanski has done an amazing job. I think that the general manager and the front office has done a fantastic job as well, and they've got a bunch of really good kids that, there's still work to be done. Defensively, they're a train wreck, especially in the defensive backfield, and the linebacking core isn't all that great. But this is a team that could be a dangerous out, provided Baker continues to manage the game where he doesn't turn the ball over. He hasn't thrown an interception in, I believe, 5 games or so. His numbers are
because he hasn't been put in a position to, and that's what I think the Browns are doing such a good job of.
Yeah, exactly.
They know their identity and they're sticking to it, and that's something that we haven't seen from Cleveland in a long time. Understanding who you are as a football team and then sticking with that identity, and I think that's one of the reasons why they're finding ways to win.
And I think Chubb and Hunt are making Baker a much better quarterback, where not all of the onus is on him. Chubb and Hunt are running that offense.
As crazy as it sounds, I think the Browns look so much better without OBJ.
I agree with you.
I think they look so much better without him on the field.
Well, you can no longer say there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Now that you've taken Odell Beckham Jr. out of the equation, and forget about it, you could have taken Landry out of the equation, the same thing would have happened. Now you don't have as many cooks in the kitchen, so you can spread the ball around and keep everyone happy. And I think the Browns are a very dangerous team, provided Chubb and Hunt continue to do what they've been doing all year long.
Their defense has to improve a little bit.
Their defense must improve, but they could be a tough out. They could be a very tough out if they get to the playoffs. Now, Emmanuel, we're going to find out just how good this team is in the next couple of weeks, because they got to play Tennessee this week in Nashville, and then they got to play Baltimore. So
the Raiders really helped their playoff chances by crapping the bet against Atlanta.
Well, no question. No question.
Excuse me. I'm laughing because I know Champ is somewhere crying.
Yeah, but we're happy in that Notre Dame looks really, really good against Carolina on Saturday. So.
Okay, now let me ask you a question about that. Now, Northwestern got beat.
Oh. Yes.
Does that affect Ohio State?
Yes.
And does Notre Dame have to win out? Because when they beat Clemson, they didn't beat Clemson with Clemson's #1 quarterback. If Notre Dame loses in the ACC championship, are they still in?
If they don't get blown out, I think they are.
And here's the other thing: Ohio State is in serious danger of not even playing in a Big Ten championship, because Michigan's starting to have problems with COVID.
Michigan shut their program down today.
So there goes their 6th game. They're not going to play 6 games. And I know the Big Ten's going to bend the rules to let them in that Big Ten championship, because they need Ohio State to have any shot in the playoffs.
Well, they're the only valuable team in that god-awful conference.
But it's like an Ohio State team that only plays 5 games. If there's like a close team, there could be a... Sorry, the TV...
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Wait a minute. Hold on. I don't know, because
that's exactly it.
Ohio State does not have to play in the Big Ten championship to go to the college championship.
No, they don't. But it's a lot easier for someone to jump them if they don't, in my opinion. Like, it would be a little bit easier to have someone jump them if they're not playing in the Big Ten.
And by the way, there's no guarantee they don't play Michigan. Right now, Michigan's program has been shut down because of a COVID outbreak. Ohio State is supposed to play Michigan State this week. We'll
That's
see if
the problem.
that game,
Michigan State. Michigan State's the problem.
And we'll see if Michigan State is going to be able to play. They upset Northwestern over the weekend.
They look good.
So we'll see what happens there.
Okay, well, I'm sorry for calling so late, but so we won't talk about Florida and the rest of the stuff. But I was just wondering about the players down in Latin America. How would this affect them? And I guess it won't, or will. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that.
Here's the thing: the Latin American players aren't draft eligible unless you're in Puerto Rico, because it's an American. That's an American territory. So the Puerto Rican kids are draft eligible, but the kids from the Dominican, Venezuela, Cuba, some of the other countries, well, Cuba doesn't necessarily allow their kids. They're on the down low. They leave the country and they get signed as a free agent. Sooner or later, Emmanuel, there will be a worldwide draft. That hasn't come yet, but I would expect that to come very soon. And then when that happens, those changes may very well happen within the first 5 years of this league.
That's why you're the baseball guru. You guys have a nice day, man. I'll try to talk to you tomorrow.
Man, see you. By the way, speaking of Notre Dame's incredible outputs on Saturday, after the first quarter, 3 points, 136 yards of total offense, final 3 quarters, 7 sacks. This is a top 5 offense that Notre Dame just told them to shut up and get out of the way. I was impressed. Very impressed with Notre Dame's defense.
But you still can't take away the stuff they gave up before that.
Oh, absolutely. The first 2 drives, they gave up a buck and a quarter.
It's still a problem. I mean, it's still there. It's still on the film.
They made adjustments.
They made really good adjustments.
Yeah, they made some great adjustments.
And they still had to win late.
Well, they were up 7, and because North Carolina played a very good game defensively, and then Notre Dame scored the touchdown that put the game away. It was the 2-touchdown win was not a 2-touchdown game.
Offensively, Notre Dame has to look a little bit at stuff, and why North Carolina, who played really bad defense all year, was able to slow us down a little bit. Not stop us, but slow us down a little bit. So it wasn't a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but they did look pretty impressive.
Defensively, they looked really good after the first quarter. They just did. And it's a different Notre Dame team. I don't know if they're going to be in the Final Four. I mean, they still...
I think that was the last challenge before Clemson to Notre Dame.
Well, they have to play Syracuse and, who was it? Syracuse and...
Wake Forest, maybe?
Wake Forest. And then the ACC title game, which hopefully it is Clemson.
It's Clemson.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully it is Clemson.
If not, I mean, there's no other team that can match Clemson. I mean, Miami doesn't have the tiebreaker.
No.
Neither does Carolina, right?
Yeah, Miami would have to win out and hope and pray that Clemson stubs their toe.
Twice.
No, they both have one loss.
Oh, you're right. Clemson.
Yeah, they both have one loss. So it's...
But they still have to be a game ahead of Clemson.
They have to be a game ahead.
So if Clemson loses...
Right now they're tied.
If Clemson loses again...
Then Miami jumps them.
Okay, because Miami only has one loss.
Yeah, Miami only has one loss in the ACC.
All right.
But then again, you look at this and you're like, okay, well, if it's not Notre Dame and Clemson, then the ACC title game just got diminished to the point where...
But then you just put the winner in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, if Notre Dame wins the ACC, I don't care who they win against. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah. Now, you look at the Big Ten, and right now, Ohio State's played 4 games in the Big Ten. They need to have Michigan State and Michigan to be healthy. Otherwise, they don't get into the Big Ten championship.
Or the Big Ten bends the rules a little bit to let them in the Big Ten championship, which I wouldn't put past them.
Well, no, absolutely not. And again, Northwestern, that was probably the worst loss for them because...
That was a shot in the heart to Ohio State because they needed Northwestern to be a legitimate opponent if they played them in the Big Ten championship.
Absolutely. And now Indiana, okay, they beat Maryland, but they didn't score a whole lot of points and they didn't really look all that stylish. But again, this is Ohio State, and that's it. That's the only team in this conference.
By the way, the Pac-12 also lost any chance of going to the playoffs because Oregon went and lost to
they're
Oregon
done.
State.
They're
so
done.
Any chance the Pac-12 had of going to the college football playoffs is gone, which is looking a lot. I mean, like Cincinnati and BYU are sitting there.
Sitting smiling like a butcher's dog. And you look at the Big 12, Iowa State has 2 losses this year.
Yeah.
So and they're the lead dogs. Oklahoma has 2 losses. I don't think there's going to be anyone in the Big 12, nor is there going to be anyone in the Pac-12. So okay, there's 2 of the Power 5 conferences are gone. If Ohio State doesn't play in the Big Ten championship game, then you may very well see an undefeated Ohio State team told to hit the sticks. So what does that leave?
It's tough.
Are we talking 2 Southeastern Conference and 2 ACC teams?
If Ohio State has 5 games and they are 5-0, but I mean they've looked nothing on tape has said they're not good.
No, they're a good team.
They're very. I mean, they've looked every bit. I mean, even in that Indiana loss, you know that you're going to have games where you don't play well, but you still find a way to win.
Offensively, they were great.
So it's going to be hard because everyone said the season's going to have to be on eye test a lot more than analytics. So, you look at Ohio State, can you say that they're not a top 4 team even though they've only played 5 games? It's going to be a fun decision. I wouldn't want to be the one making it.
Listen, all I know is Cincinnati's
Because then
8-0.
you look at a Florida team, even Florida, who's played, a lot more games and one loss. If they go and beat Alabama in the SEC championship game, what do? Can you jump them? Can you?
You can't
keep
take Alabama
out?
Incorporated out of there. I mean, they're 8-0.
No, I don't think Alabama's going to lose because they've just looked unbelievably.
But if they
dominant.
were, then that's bad news for Cincinnati and BYU and whoever else outside of the Power 5, and it could be bad news for Ohio State.
You're right.
It's going to be crazy. All right, we're going to want to take a final timeout and then turn it over to DJ and the boys on the Power Hour. Stick around.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Armstrong Local Programming has always delivered an exclusive and unique perspective on the very best events your region offers. High school sports, community events, parades, all your favorite shows from Armstrong are now calling the Neighborhood Channel their home.
Watch Out and About, Locally Speaking, and many other great local shows right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Find out everything that the Neighborhood Channel has to offer at ArmstrongNeighborhood.com. Spirit, town pride, local communities. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. That'll do it for today's show. Many, many thanks to Jordan Taylor, the general manager of the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, and many thanks to Dana Balish from TV21. That'll do it for the show. We'll talk tomorrow, noon to 3. Coming up, it's Power Hour. DJ and the fellas will be talking all kinds of different things going on in the world of sports. We'll hear from DJ and the folks on Power Hour coming up momentarily. We'll talk tomorrow, noon to 3, Running Point on YSNLive.com.